This is episode 3 of Talk Magic to Me, for March 26, 2014. Welcome everyone to Talk Magic to Me, the critical discussion podcast where we discuss all things Disney. I'm one of your humble hosts, Danielle.
Oh.
You're failing.
I'm Jen.
I'm Prince Eric.
And I'm DJJD. Pleasure.
And we are just failing. I think we're all really tired.
God.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm great. I don't know about you guys. JD and
Right,
I
I'm
are
fine.
we're on spring break. I don't know about
Right.
you.
Oh yeah, that's right, you
Yeah.
are. Well, that is not fair.
Just enjoying myself.
Oh, if I had a day off tomorrow, I'd be so happy.
Yeah.
I think like this is the first time I'm saying I wish it would snow a lot.
Is it the first time in forever?
Ah.
No. Save that. Save that.
Wow.
Hold that in.
Wow, we got jokes tonight.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll tell
it's
you
coming.
what.
It's coming.
You're
The
just
amount-
full of puns.
Yeah, the amount of ice puns that we're going to be spilling out tonight is going to be very chill.
Oh, wow.
Oh no.
No.
I should say it's going to be very cool.
Yeah.
There we
yeah, there
go.
you
That's
go.
better. That's better.
It's going to be a real cool party tonight.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so while Eric does his whole pun thing...
Just gonna go die in a corner. Excuse me.
So, hello you guys. Welcome to our Frozen episode.
Ooh.
This is a very special episode because, you know, we're not really going to go out of order with the Disney movies, but Frozen is a new one, and it's so exciting, we just have to talk about it, because we all have really different opinions on this movie, and it's going to make a very good discussion,
Yeah.
don't you guys think?
Very, very different opinions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So.
now it's time for Eric to say another pun, because I can't think of one.
Everybody just chill out.
Oh.
Okay. Very good.
My
Okay.
ears.
Your ears are hurt.
Yep.
Okay. Now, our last episode was rather relaxed. It wasn't heavily edited, very kind of improvised, and that was because we were really getting pumped for this. This episode is gonna be awesome. I hope you guys enjoy it. I think we'll enjoy it.
They won't, but
Oh,
What?
we'll
it's
be
gonna
good
be
anyway.
stressful.
Oh, we got to
I
think
feel the
positively
stress.
here.
It will
Already.
be. It will be
The
stressful.
anxiety.
Yeah, a little bit of anxiety, but it'll be a good anxiety by the end of it, I hope.
There we go.
Yeah, we expect it to be rather long, but awesome, and you know, it might get a little feisty in here, but
I hope not.
yeah, well, I think we're all good people. Like, we get along. I think we can keep things civil, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, let's head over to our lovely segment on this day in Disney history, and a lot happens on this day when our podcast releases on March 26th. And I had a lot of stuff I wanted to read to you guys, but there's so much that it would just take forever for me to read. So I had to cut a lot, but what I did pick out is really cool. So the first date I have is from 1906, Disney legend, and hopefully I don't butcher this name, but Wally Feyneaux, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but was born in Paris, France. And for those of you who don't know who that is, he was part of Disney. He, like, kept their office open in Paris during the Nazi occupation, which was between 1939 and 1945. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Getting all historical.
I know. I read that and I was like you never think about that, but it did happen over there.
Yeah.
It's weird, but then in 1907, Lee Harleen was born, whose music appeared in Pinocchio, and then Someday My Prince Will Come from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Then in 1976, Disney re-released Dumbo to theaters for the 5th and final time, which the 5th time, I couldn't believe that they've released it so much.
Well, you got to get ready for Dumbo 3D.
Yeah.
Most likely one day.
That's true.
Oh, well, I thought you were serious for a second there.
Not yet, but I'm
there
sure
really
it's
is going to be a Dumbo 3D.
I would bet money on that.
Oh God.
I've never seen it.
Oh really?
Ever. I know. I'm not very qualified for this podcast. I haven't seen hardly any of these things.
Well, that's okay. You're a fresh perspective.
So funny.
There you go.
In 1985, we have actress Keira Knightley was born, who is known for her role as Elizabeth Swann in the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Huh.
She's cool.
Yeah.
Then in 1990, woo, birth year, yay.
Oh.
Yeah, that's mine.
Oh yeah, you too, yeah. Alan Menken and Howard Ashman's Under the Sea from Disney's The Little Mermaid wins an Oscar for Best Song at the 62nd Academy Awards. And Alan Menken also was awarded for his original score in the same film. And then in the year 2000, You'll Be in My Heart, written and performed by Phil Collins from Tarzan, won an Oscar for Best Song at the 72nd Academy Awards.
Oh, wow, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that starts the Renaissance, The Little Mermaid, and then ends the Renaissance with Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, there's a ton more that I wanted to say, but I cut out, so maybe we'll do that if we go this podcast, like if we record a podcast in the same day, one day, again, I'll read them. And now it's time for Jen's Theme Park Corner. Yay!
I love
So
Jen's theme park corner.
I know, it's so fun.
It's alright.
There goes
I'm
JD
teasing.
again.
I'm teasing. It's great. I love themes and parks.
Very good.
And corners.
Yes, and corners. Especially corners.
Well, you're great for this podcast.
Coroners? Oh,
Yeah.
corners.
Like a coronation?
I thought you meant
Off
like,
the rails.
I meant like coroners, like the coroner, the person that checks to make sure the body is dead. Like,
Those guys
Yes,
need
we
love
love
too.
I
those.
was like,
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
you
the
know?
coroner. I thought he was a coroner.
Wow.
Oh. Well, you know.
Anyway,
Well, go ahead. Or
Okay.
here, Jen, you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, so for Frozen, since it's relatively new, it's not found too much in the parks yet, but it's obviously extremely popular. So right now you can meet Anna and Elsa both at Norway in Epcot, which makes sense because that's where they took themes from, Norway. But now, because it's so popular, you can wait like 3 to 4 hours to meet them. So that's half your day to meet these characters, which is insane. But because of this long wait, they decided to move them to the new Fairy Tale Hall, which is where the Snow White ride used to be.
oh,
And I think they're rotating out Tangled, the Rapunzel, whoever that is. I think they're rotating her out and putting these Frozen guys in, and you can actually get fast passes to meet them, so your
Whoa.
wait won't be as long. But even then, you're gonna stand by will probably still be 3 to 4 hours. It's crazy how popular they are, and obviously they want to build an attraction for them as soon as possible because it's just huge. And the Maelstrom, I think that's how you say it, in Norway, it's like that boat water ride.
yeah, I
they're
used to love
thinking-
that ride, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. So they're thinking about overlaying that with the Frozen theme, but a lot of the people who like the original, they're opposing it. It's like this big debate, but it's all speculation
Huh.
now, of course.
I guess you
but-
technically could. The thing about that
Yeah.
ride is that I remember that there's a drop in it, like a really small drop in it at one point, and there's trolls that come up that they're like bad, evil trolls that like put a magic spell on you, and they make the boat go really fast, so I don't know how that would work with Frozen.
They'd probably
yeah.
have to gut the whole thing and
I mean,
just make it
They
Frozen.
could. I could see that happen. If there was one place to
Yeah.
do a Frozen ride, you could do it there.
Right, but then a lot of people are complaining because Epcot's World Showcase is supposed to be based on culture and real life
Yeah.
events and culture
Right.
and
That's-
history, and they don't want it cartoonized.
That's
so
true.
that's the debate with that. But either way, I mean, I know Frozen is going to get something somewhere, whether it be in the Magic Kingdom or Epcot in Norway or whatever. It's obviously extremely popular.
Yeah.
And when I was there in December, they had a whole section of merchandise. Like, it wasn't a huge section, but they had the basic shirts and things, and I actually bought a Frozen wand that is like a snowflake and it lights up. I was so excited to buy that. And they had like little stuff, but now they're rolling out a whole new addition to their merchandise because I guess people demand it, so they are rolling it out. And I showed Danielle the other day, I think today or yesterday, that they're even making treats like in their confectionery for Frozen.
They look delicious.
Yeah, like Olaf, I think, has his own candy apple that
Oh,
looks
wow.
like him, and they have different blue and white treats and stuff in theme, so they're pulling it in there. And now, the new Festival of Fantasy parade, they're adding a Frozen float. I think they took out Sleeping Beauty and they replaced it with Frozen, and that was a last-minute decision, too. So, even though Frozen's relatively new, it's already has a huge presence in the parks, and I know it's just going to get more and more because the demand is 4 hours to wait to meet them. I mean, that's a huge demand, and Disney sees that, so.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, that concludes my theme park corner for Frozen. Yay!
Yeah.
It
Huzzah!
is. Yeah.
Alrighty, so now it's time for us to get into our discussion.
Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
I'm really excited. Like, it's gonna be awesome. Okay.
Got my notes out. Got everything all ready.
Good, you're prepared. As Scar says, be prepared.
Yes.
I'm ready to defend with all my defenses.
Yeah, me
But
too.
Got my shield.
we will get to that, don't you worry.
Oh my.
I am Captain America. I'm ready.
Yes, you are.
I got my shield.
Very
do
good
this.
comparison. Okay, so we're gonna go around, and basically, real quickly say, in 5 words or less, what we think of this film. And I know that's kind of hard, but, yeah, I'll come to Jen first, if it's okay if you need to think on it.
No, I wrote them. I have 6 words or less.
Okay.
Instead of 5.
Okay, well, Jen's cheating, but whatever. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, these are, for me, Frozen, in 6 words or less, best song, story, visuals since the Renaissance, in my opinion.
Very good.
Uh-huh.
Very
I
good.
said it, and I stand by it.
Yeah,
And the
that's right,
rewatch,
girl.
Okay.
rewatching it for this proved that even further. I stand by it even more.
Yeah, I saw your
The
Facebook
truth.
status about how you would never
Oh my
never get sick of Frozen, no matter how many
I
times.
will not.
No.
I adore this movie.
Here we go.
Very
Even
good.
more.
Very good way
Okay.
to start off. Now,
Okay.
Eric,
Sparks are already
Okay.
flashing.
Okay.
now your 5 words or 6 words or less.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 7, but I can cut it down.
You can do 7 if
7.
you want. What the heck?
It is badly made and female biased.
Oh.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
This
Right
is
to
gonna...
the heart.
Ooh,
Oh man, this is gonna be really good.
No.
yeah.
Okay, very nice. JD, why don't you go next?
All right, it has to be what 6 words or less.
Well, now 7 words or less.
All right. Let's see. Beginning of Disney's new renaissance.
Okay,
Very
I
good.
can get behind that.
I really hope not, but
Okay, very good. Mine's actually 2 words, because I'm the only one who followed the rule. Oh wait, JD, I guess you did.
I followed the rules.
Yeah, you followed the rule. Sorry, my
I
Danielle-
counted on my hands as I'm counting. I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah.
Danielle, are the 2 words "it sucks"?
No.
No.
Wow.
No.
No, my 2 words are outdid brave.
Oh,
Well, that
okay,
was
that's
kinda easy.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
I never saw
Yeah.
Brave.
Good, you didn't
Yeah.
miss much. That was
Yeah.
the worst. It's literally the worst Pixar movie.
It is.
It's not a
This
good
is
movie
what,
at all.
Yeah, Frozen is what Brave wanted to be.
I'll say
Exactly.
Frozen is better than Brave, but I thought Brave was absolutely terrible. So
Well, we'll definitely get to that. That'll be awesome too.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
so
probably love it. Watch.
I don't know.
I don't know
It's got
anybody.
bears in it.
No, but the thing is, I don't know anybody that said that was a good movie. Most people will say
No.
that wasn't a very good movie.
All right, so are we ready to begin with our discussion?
Yes.
Harimasu.
All right. So, let's talk about the story first. And just the story in general.
I love the story.
I think that, and I have issues with all 3 of these topics. You know, how the story was executed, the how it relates to the Snow Queen story and just the story itself. But since we're talking right now about the story itself, I guess I'll stay right there. I think that, just an overlying my negativity towards this movie. When this movie, I saw it, and then as soon as it was over, I didn't feel a sense of emotional satisfaction that I usually feel when I come out of a movie that really makes it feel like, yeah, that was a good movie, that was a good story, I really enjoyed that. I'm glad I saw that. This, I just felt like nothing happened, and like there was, like I didn't feel anything, like nothing had taken place during the movie, and so I went back and went through it to try to figure out why it is I felt that way. And so that's where all of these points come from. I wasn't thinking all of this consciously during the movie when I saw it, but afterwards when I wasn't satisfied, I went back and sort of put together why it is I wasn't satisfied at the end. And a part of it, I think, is the story, I feel like, has a lot of plot holes in it, a lot of not even things that you really have to pay attention to know, but just giant plot holes that make the story seem unbelievable to the viewer, and therefore you can't attach yourself to it. I don't understand the whole I don't understand the whole business about the sisters being locked away in the castle for however many years that was, and how that makes any sense, and how, if that happened, how these two girls turned out perfectly educated and understanding of the world outside of the castle, when if you really did that, and they would be like, they would act really differently and wouldn't understand how anything works, and they wouldn't understand social norms or anything about that. I don't get how that works. I don't get why it is.
I can explain that.
Well, yeah, here, let me cut you off for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. One point at a time.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say also, and like, for that point, we have to remember that this is a Disney movie, but I agree.
Just about to say, yeah, it's a Disney movie. Like, you have to cut it some slack.
Not that excuses it.
Right.
And they have a ton of servants, and they've been around people. They're around people that they're used to.
Yeah.
I still don't get that.
Homeschooling is a thing.
I still don't.
Well, the thing is also, like, if we're bringing up these, like, nitpicky things, I mean, you look at a movie like Beauty and the Beast, which actually has the most plot holes in any Disney film ever made, apparently.
Really?
But it's considered the most classic Disney movie. For example, the Beast, if we're going by what they say in the film, the Beast was cursed at age 11, and is that moral for a person to, curse a kid? Not really,
yeah,
so that's a little bit of a plot.
Yeah, I don't think that's
a... How did the Beast get his education then? Same way.
He wasn't, though. He wasn't educated, though. He was very not understanding of everything.
I think he was pretty smart as far as the Beast goes, being locked in castle.
I thought he didn't... I didn't think so. And was he really supposed to be locked away at age 11? Because I thought that he was locked away when he was turned into the Beast, when it is that he became the guy he was at the end, like when he was that age.
No, he was transformed to a beast right away when he was 11, according to Disney.
The story or Disney's version?
I've never read the original story, but Disney's version does that.
Oh, really? Okay. It's just I don't see that as I don't see that as a glaring. I just don't see it as a glaring plot hole. Like I personally couldn't emotionally attach myself to these girls' problem of having to poor them, they're sheltered and they have to stay in the castle, because that, to me, I couldn't understand how that worked. Like what she said, oh yeah, all the years that I've roamed all the empty halls. Literally, is that all you did? Like for 15 years you just stayed in the castle and did nothing? And you just kind of wandered around for 15 years? Nothing?
You read books?
Like, yeah.
They never show that.
I don't find that hard to believe.
Really?
I just thought it was kind of like Tangled in that way. Like, she just kind of stayed there, read books, the books a million times.
And that's all she's known. That's all she's ever known. I mean, how young was she when all this happened? Like, that's all she's known.
Right?
Yeah, I
that's
get what you're
normal to her.
Yeah, it makes sense what you're saying.
Understand.
Like, I completely agree with you, but at the same time...
But you'd have to apply that logic to every Disney film, and that's really...
No, but the thing is that I don't think that it's that nitpicky. Like, they other movies don't have glaring plot. Like, I couldn't, on a very basic level, just attach myself to it. I couldn't understand these girls' problems because...
Well, you're not the only one. I've read reviews that people felt the same way.
Yeah, there was that thing on BuzzFeed about 15 things that Frozen left glaringly unexplained, and one of them was, what does Elsa really do in her room? She doesn't have internet or anything. Does she literally just sit there for like 20 years and do nothing, just looking at herself? That's one of the things. So I'm not the only one that thought of this. I mean, it doesn't make much sense, and when the story isn't believable, even within the world that you present, in a world where magic does exist, where their trolls exist, and everything, even in that type of world, to me, at least in my opinion, I couldn't believe it, because it just, it didn't make sense to me.
Apart from what Eric's saying, what about other things?
I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was
really
unique. I thought it was unique. I thought it was original. I thought they went different ways than what you were expecting. And they wanted to make you think they were going with the cliche and the stereotype, but then they completely turn it around and go the other way. And they make you, they turn your head one way and then do something over here, and then you're surprised by it and you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it, is surprising. Because, when I saw the trailers and I saw Olaf, I was kind of like, oh no. I don't want to have anything to do with that character. He just looked so annoying. But when I saw it, he ended up being, one of the best parts of the movie. So I was like, I don't know how you did that, but they hid, the best parts. So I think that was,
And he doesn't come in till halfway through.
No.
Yeah.
So you have to wait.
They didn't overkill it either, which was good.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that it went in different ways. I don't know. I think that there's only a couple of Disney movies that end in the true love's first kiss. I think Snow White ends that way, Sleeping Beauty ends that way, and that's all I can think of.
Well, you're thinking of, awakening from a kiss. Every princess movie you see, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid.
But see, Beauty and the Beast, Belle wasn't a princess, though. She was the daughter of an inventor.
Well, for all purposes, Disney refers to her as an official princess, so that's why I say that.
Now.
Yeah, but see, that's what I don't get. And then there was...
What made this different was about not even just the kiss. The true love was about family and not about a guy. It was family.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that if you're going on the fact that there's a kiss at the end, Anna and Kristoff do kiss at the very end, and it does end in a way that most Disney movies do end.
No, you're right, but
that wasn't part of the story. That was just thrown in. That didn't help the plot. The plot was the sisters and the family and the love for the family.
But shouldn't it? But it's love for everybody, though. I mean, if it was just love for your family, no families would exist because you wouldn't get married then and to have a family.
Well, what you're saying is so true, but at the same time, you have to realize that Disney has been under fire, whether I agree with it or not, for this idea that all their movies have this true love's first kiss ideology, that you meet a person and that their love will break the spell, and this film kind of took that and made you believe that that was what they were going for, and then at the end all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, it was sisterly love that she needed.
Which I think is more relatable, because how many people find their prince opposed to loving a family member? That's much more relatable.
Well, what I also don't understand is that all the same people that are so happy that Disney went in a different direction are all the same people, mostly girls, that love those movies and love Cinderella and love getting dressed up for the prom because they say, oh, well, it's the Cinderella Prince Charming thing, and love their wedding for the same, oh, I'm supposed to look like a princess. But I don't get that, because they all say that they want that, and then they say, oh, I'm so glad Disney went in a different direction.
I definitely do. I love the dresses. I love getting dressed up and the whole wedding thing. I love everything about sparkles and magic and all of that.
Sparkles.
But I know. But I can appreciate this story because it's different, and it's nice to have a change. While I do love those fairy tales, I'll never get tired of them. It's nice to have a change, and it's nice to not be able to predict the ending for once.
Yeah.
True.
If I can just move it into the execution now, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Here we go.
What about the execute? I mean, obviously, three of us really liked the plot, and then Eric, you just said it was okay, but what about the execution of, I mean, obviously it has to do with maybe why you didn't like the plot
I thought that the plot, even the story they went with, I didn't agree with that story, and I'll explain that when we get to the third point, but the execution of that story, okay, if you're going to go with that story, it wasn't done well, which left you being unsatisfied at the end. They had this whole thing about how, oh, she can't control her powers. Really? Because the one time she's shown using them at the beginning, she can control them really well, and they do every single thing that she wants them to. It's just she misaims, and Anna, whose fault it really was, jumps too soon or whatever, and she just hits her by mistake. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, she can't control it. What really they should have done is shown her growing up with the powers, showing her not being able to control them at all, causing a bunch of accidents, and all the people in the village disliking her for it and saying things like, oh, I don't want her to become the queen. She's terrible. She can't control this snow power that she has. And her and Anna being separated and Anna disliking her because of it. Much like in Hercules, where Hercules was seen at the beginning not being able to control his strength, and there was that funny part where the kids were like, oh no, you can't play Frisbee with us. Oh, well, why not? Because we have 5 people, and we want to keep it an even number. And he's sitting there like counting on his fingers, wait a minute, because he caused this big accident and everybody doesn't like him because he can't control his strength. Therefore, at the end, when he becomes a true hero and he saves the place for all the same people, when he saves them from the Titans and everything, it's more emotionally satisfying because you saw the same people disliking him at the beginning and him not being able to control his strength, and then at the end he could control it, and he saved all the people, and they grew to accept him for who he was. I thought that if they're going to go with the story they went with, which I disagreed with, but if they're going to do it, it should have been executed correctly in that Elsa, first of all, should have been the main focus of the film, and it should have been about her inability to control her powers, her struggle with it herself, the way that it separates her and her sister, and the way that the villagers and everybody else dislikes her for it and doesn't want her to be queen for it. Therefore, her having a tantrum and running off when she causes something to happen would make more sense. And then her going away would make more sense. And then at the end, when everybody likes her for it and she's able to control it, that would make more sense and be more emotionally satisfying because she's actually shown not being able to control it at the beginning.
So you're basically saying that it should have been executed more on Elsa rather than Anna?
Yes.
Yeah, they should have just pulled an X-Men, really.
Yes. No, yeah, if they're gonna go, yeah,
You
yeah.
compared the whole thing, you kept saying it should be more like Hercules. Well, they already did Hercules. I don't want a girl version of Hercules.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Like, I totally see what you're saying, Eric. I think a lot of us, we loved those movies from our childhood, and, like, I loved the way Hercules did it, but I think Disney just wants to do it differently.
Because didn't they say that Elsa's powers were getting stronger at some point? I thought that was what was happening.
Well,
like
she
they were just
says that.
Because they were getting stronger.
Right, they were, and she didn't know how to control them. And I think they did that just for time purposes, because it wasn't the focus. As much as you wanted Elsa to be the focus, I liked that it was more Anna's story in the beginning, because it made Elsa's reveal when she has her big song more emotional, I thought, because if we followed Elsa the whole way, we'd be used to her, her personality, but by the time her Let It Go came, we got to see her personality for the first time, and we actually got to learn her character. So in a way, it was like Olaf. They held it off until the big reveal, and then we got more introduced to her character, because by then you knew Anna, and you didn't need her development, her adventures, her
but
stuff.
See, that's the thing.
You knew her.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I think that it shouldn't have been focused. Anna doesn't have a conflict that needs fixing, so the movie shouldn't have been
she
focused.
Does.
No, she doesn't. It's external. No, that's external. That's not her own internal conflict.
Kind of.
Elsa's, and I understand what you're saying.
She's awkward too. She has to work on that.
I don't get. Everybody says that. I don't see that at all.
With people.
Which, honestly, and we're going to get into this later, but that's too Rapunzel-y for me.
I didn't see that she was portrayed as very awkward at all. She seemed like every single girl that exists in today's world to me, really. I don't see how she was awkward or clumsy or anything.
I think that was the point, though. That kind of...
No, I agree.
She was the Jennifer Lawrence of Disney.
That's what I did think of Jennifer Lawrence when she said, if I'm elated or gassy. I just thought Jennifer Lawrence right there.
I was like, okay, guys. I was like, I see what you're doing, Disney. Gotcha.
And we'll get to that part when we talk about the music, but, like... there literally is a Disney song now that says, I don't know if I'm elated or gassy.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
I mean,
like...
yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, when you think about it in like a modern day context, it's kind of funny, but I get it. I get it. But I also think part of that execution is because they changed the story last minute too, which is why a lot of people are like, "Wait, how did this happen? Why isn't it focused on Elsa because she was supposed to be a villain the whole time?" And then they were like, "No,
Right.
wait, let's change it. Let's change that." So you get a lot of like, it's very jarring
Yeah.
in some spots.
So I personally think that, and I understand what you're saying about, oh well, they already did Hercules. Well, honestly, I didn't think of it in that way. I just thought of it like, okay, there's a Disney movie that I like that was made well, and they did it this way. It should have been, if they're going to go with this story, which is what they chose to go with, rather than the actual Snow Queen story, which we'll get to in our next point. But if they chose to go this way, then they should have done that right. The big emotional part at the end is that Elsa can control her powers, and which I don't understand how, oh, well, it's love, that's how I control it. Wait, you've never ever felt love before in any time that you were
I don't
existed?
think she did. I don't think she
Yeah,
did.
Ever?
Yeah, the thing
With
is,
her parents
the
or
love that
anything?
she felt was not. It was her. Basically, you can think of her interaction with her parents, and yes, it was some sort of love, but her parents were kind of teaching her to look at fear as the way to go about life, and they weren't really showing her like this absolute love that could be argued. But I'm just saying that she did feel something of love, but this was something outside of that.
Acceptance, I think, is the word.
Yeah, it was her parents they loved her, but they didn't accept all of her. That was the thing.
And then at the
well.
end, her
Yeah.
sister accepted her, and then that was what she needed to feel
Right.
loved.
Or something.
I didn't think that her parents ever were shown enough to say whether they accepted her or not. I mean, I don't see what it is that they didn't accept her. I don't get that.
They did, but they were trying to hide her what was a part
No,
of
and
her.
I agree with that. So that's why I think that whole part of hiding it meant no sense to me. Like, why did they do? I don't understand that.
Because I think they thought that, like, they accepted her, but they didn't think the world was ready.
And they were royalty, and they have, like, a standard to keep up, and they don't want probably the peasants or whatever seeing that their daughter could do all this, because then that doesn't look good on them.
But see, that's a lot of. They never show that in the. I just don't get that. They jump too far. She has, all they said was, oh, she has ice powers. She can't control it, which she never was shown not being able to control it. So we have to lock her away and close the door and close the gates and everything. Which I don't get that. There was no, if it was because of them being royalty, they should have shown that then. I didn't think of that until right now when you said that.
I picked up on that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it also seemed like a rash decision. Like, they weren't thinking clearly when they made it. They were just like, close the gates, shut her off. No one's getting near her.
Yeah,
they
like,
didn't really
hide
think
her
about
from
it.
everybody.
Yeah. They didn't think rationally, to me.
I agree, and it didn't seem like they were trying to make them be rational. I just thought that it was done badly by Disney. That it just was done so sudden, like, okay, let's just keep her inside. Wait, what? Why? That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Why are you?
In this beginning, nothing was really spoon-fed, I guess. Like, a lot of it was subtle. And I guess you either picked up on it or you didn't. And if you didn't, I guess you get a reaction like you're confused and you don't like it as much. But if you pick up on it, I guess it's a different perspective.
Yeah,
You either get it or you don't.
I just didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me. All of a sudden, like, I think the big one part where you're seeing anybody disliking her for her powers is when they're first revealed, and there's this, oh my god, sorcery. Wait, what? Why? I would think that'd be like, oh man, you have ice powers. That's awesome. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Like, I would think that would be really cool.
That's because of the world we live in. That'd be awesome.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
superpowers.
But if you're different and dangerous, no one's gonna like you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people, if you look back to the time when people were practicing actual sorcery, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say that I agree with it, but people were terrified of them, for what they could do. And you think of, I mean, just in music, I'm not a fan of Lady Gaga, but when you see somebody like Lady Gaga on stage when she first came out, people really were kind of slow to accept her, but then when she started getting bigger, now she's played on every freaking radio station all over.
I understand, like, all of this, all of the analysis of it. It's just, I think that people are giving it, just my opinion, like, it's just that people are giving it way too much credit, and it's just a badly told story. With all these things you have to assume, and all these things, well, that's the way the world is. If that's really the reason, they should have showed that to me, because then I didn't emotionally feel that at the end, that there was a big difference between everybody loving her. By the way, they spend the whole time trying to ice them else, and at the very end it ends with her bringing the ice right back. That I didn't get that. And it was just like in
moderation she brought it back, not in like the
yeah.
And I don't get that either. Why is it that when she left and ran away, it was
but there's a difference, because when she ran away, ice was everywhere, like it was a winter, where at the end she brings it back as an ice skating rink.
No, I know that, but why is it that why is it that happened when she ran away? Why did it get turned into an eternal winter? They just like
her emotions.
But
Yeah,
I'm sure she's felt it.
So
I'm sure
she ran and freaked out, and it went everywhere.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's happened before. She's been emotional before, and that never happened.
Well, that was a whole
powers got
town.
stronger.
That was a whole town ganging up on her, not just one parent or a servant or people that she's known and around. This is the whole town of strangers.
Yeah, but see, I don't think that they were ganging up on her. Only one person, which was that awful Duke character, which is a terrible character, but we'll get into that, was seen disliking.
Even if they were or not, she felt that they were, and that was enough.
But see, that's the thing. That's her fault. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't emotionally... There were so many things in it that just... I couldn't attach myself to it.
Well, I think also, and I hate to say this, but I think Frozen is definitely... It's a princess movie. It's geared toward girls. Like,
Definitely.
I mean, not that boys can't enjoy it.
I love Beauty and the Beast.
That possibly because you are a guy, maybe.
But see,
you don't.
I don't see. Okay, there's a video on YouTube. If you look up critical review of Frozen, there's these two guys, and I don't know how old they are. They might be around my age. Who I think they're film students. They might not be. I don't. They like what they do is film and study films, and they go through a big analysis about why it is that, and they're saying exactly what I'm saying, that when they came out of the movie, they were not emotionally satisfied by it, and then they went back and were giving reasons throughout the movie as to why. And so, one of the things they say is that people say that, oh, well, it's for kids, oh, well, it's for this. It should be able to stand alone as a story on itself.
Well, you're
for
right,
anybody
you're
to
totally
just
right,
watch it.
But still, like, those are two guys that are...
Yeah, but I love Snow White. I like Cinderella. I like Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast. I like The Little Mermaid. I think that those are all well-made, well-told stories, and all of them make sense. If you look at the end, if you want to talk about a good pro-female done story, and everybody's saying how different it is because the female's the one that's taking charge. They already did that with Mulan, and I thought that they did that a lot better with Mulan because they didn't put down men in the process, whereas this movie does. And we'll get into that and the reasons why I think that later, but they already did that with Mulan, and if everybody's saying, oh, well, it does it different, it's different. Wreck-It Ralph was different. That was about video game characters. That was a good movie. Nobody's saying, "Oh, look how different this movie is." If you want to be different,
I don't see anyone taking charge, though. It's more of the dynamic between the two girls and their personal relationship. It just happens to affect people around them because I guess they're public figures. But I don't see anyone really taking charge and saving the day and defeating the dragon or whatever. It's just two human emotions and two human people interacting. It just seems real, more real than most Disney films. Relatable.
No, but see, I didn't think, because they weren't even showed interacting at all. I just didn't feel that way.
But you picked up on it though, through songs and through and
we'll get into
we'll get into that. But they set. Oh, we'll wait for that part. It's just
we'll take it into our next point. I'm just going to give you a rundown. I know, Eric, you kind of know this, but I read the original story, The Snow Queen, and surprisingly enough, although this Frozen is extremely different, there are things in the original story that I think Disney, like, they have a lot of subtle things in this film, and I think they did subtly include a lot of the original story, whether we are aware of it or not. And so, let me just give you a brief rundown of it. In the original story, there's two characters, a boy named Kai and a girl named Gerda, and they are best friends. They grow up together, and the Snow Queen, obviously, she's a villain, she's bad, and she is basically a myth that she's a story that these kids are told about. And she one day, well, in the beginning of the story, they actually have trolls in the story, but in the original story, they're bad, and they have this mirror that when you look into it, anything that's beautiful turns ugly, and anything ugly turns beautiful. And the trolls are trying to carry it up to heaven to make God and the heavens and angels look terrible. But the mirror falls and shatters, and it, like, all these pieces of the mirror are going into people around the earth. And so one of the pieces falls into Kai's eye and goes into his heart, which gives him a frozen heart, which we see in this movie.
Did they really say frozen heart?
Yep.
Oh.
How do they get a frozen heart from a mirror?
Yeah, that's what I was...
It's supposed to be like an ice mirror.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, so then it says, well, I have a quote here. It says, if a splinter should enter someone's heart, oh, that was the most terrible of all. That heart would be turned to ice. Then it says, when a sliver of the mirror entered someone's eye, it stayed there, and the person forever after would see the world distorted, and only be able to see the faults and not the virtues of everyone around them. So then Gerda goes out to rescue Kai. She doesn't know... Well, actually, I skipped a part. Kai is just turned kind of very mean, and he ends up trying to hang out with the guys and be all macho, and he's on a sled, and the Snow Queen comes, and for some odd reason, he attaches his sled to her sled, and she just pulls him away to her lair.
Seems legit.
Yeah, I read it and I was like, oh, okay.
Seems like a thing.
Yeah, so she brings him to her lair, and he has a frozen heart, so the cold really doesn't bother him when he's up there with her. And so Gerda decides she wants to save him, and one thing I noticed during the reading of the book is that she constantly is asking nature for advice, whether it be, like she offers the rivers her shoes in exchange for Kai. She speaks to the roses and the sun and the birds and the river and just all these things, these nature elements that I think would have been cool if Disney incorporated, but it's okay that they didn't, but it was a nice touch to the story.
Right.
And at the end, when Gerda finds Kai, she finally finds him, and she finds him and he is just ice cold, not responding to her, and the Snow Queen isn't there, and so she hugs him, and her tears melt the ice from his heart. And when Kai ends up crying, he cries the ice out of his eye. And they tie in a Bible verse, and I actually forgot to look it up, but I know it's from Matthew, and it says, whomever shall not receive the kingdom of heaven as a little child shall not enter therein. And basically the story is saying that, this Bible verse is basically saying that we are to remain as children in our attitude about life and innocent, and that this ice that pierces us, gives us a frozen heart, is taking away our innocence. And that summer is the time of innocence, so that the end of the story says, there they sat, the two of them, grown-ups, and yet in their hearts, it was summer, a warm and glorious summer day. In Frozen, we have this idea of summer returning and symbolizing the sisterly bond that Anna and Elsa had as children when they were innocent.
All connected.
Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful telling of that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Danielle. When I was, I think in 4th, 5th grade, I was about 9 or 10 years old, my older sister was in this play, The Snow Queen. She was Gerda. And I saw this show close to 15 times, and so the story of it is permanently ingrained in my brain because of me seeing it so many times. And I don't understand how at all, in any way, shape, or form, this movie is based on the Snow Queen. I don't understand why they even have to say that, and why they can't just say Frozen. It's just a movie on its own. Why is it they have to say it's based on it? The Snow Queen was originally about, as Danielle just said, a boy and a girl who are best friends growing up. The boy gets kidnapped by the Snow Queen, and the girl goes on an adventure to save him and bring him back. I personally think that would have made a much more interesting and better and more relatable story than what they went with in Frozen. And I think that I don't understand why it is that they changed what they did. Not even changed, wrote the different story for Frozen that they wrote. I don't see how Frozen is at all the Snow Queen's story. I think that would have made a really interesting story, how the most of the film is about Gerda going on this adventure to save him. If you want to make a pro-female story about the girl taking charge, that seems more like it than Frozen. In Frozen, Kristoff helps Anna with the sled and takes her up the mountain. So I don't understand why people say that, oh, it's about the girls taking charge. No, it's not. She would have never been able to even get there without Kristoff, so I don't get why you're saying that. In this movie, this girl really does go out into the woods by herself and meets all these cool characters in the woods and goes on this great adventure to find and bring back her friend. And another thing that Danielle said that I thought was interesting was the idea of summer, and at the end, summer returns. And I remember at the end of the play, when my sister was in it, that when they got back and they returned, there was this big song that was originally written for their show that was about summer, and there's no school, and we love summer, and summer's great, and we love summer. In Frozen, where they go at the end and they're like, oh, yay, it's summer now, they never say that it is summer when they leave at the beginning. If they would have, that was supposed to be a big difference, and at the beginning, they're like, oh, it's back to summer now. Let's go bring back summer. Wait a minute, it was summer? I didn't think that it was summer. It could have been winter, just cold, just the lake isn't frozen.
That kind of threw me off too at first when I saw it the first time, but I think it's supposed to be implied.
Yeah, everyone was wearing like short sleeves and the sun was out. And...
They should have described that better.
Fit, just
they should have. So all in all, I don't think that Disney is correct in saying that Frozen is based on the Snow Queen. It's nothing. It's a different story. Like when they say, oh, the Lion King was based on Hamlet. Hamlet, what's the story of Hamlet? Hamlet's the story of, and correct me, Danielle, because you're going to know this if I'm wrong, but from what I remember from reading Hamlet in 11th grade English class, or whatever it was about a king who is poisoned and killed by his brother, who wants the throne, and the king comes back as a ghost to tell his son, Prince Hamlet, that he needs to claim the throne for himself, that his rightful place is for the throne. That actually is the story of the Lion King. That actually is what happens in the Lion King. What's the story of the Snow Queen? Two kids that grow up together, a girl and a boy, and the boy gets kidnapped by the evil Snow Queen, and the girl goes on an adventure to save him. That's not any way, shape, or form what Frozen is.
Well, maybe they use too many common themes, like Danielle mentioned about the heart and a few other things. Maybe for legal purposes, copyright.
Yeah, I was about
to
say you have to.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
pretty sure they would have to.
Maybe they came just too close to it, even though we don't really see anything resembling it. But maybe legally there were too many things that they saw overlapping, and so they had to put that in there.
Like, I'm sure they bought the rights for it, so they had to.
Well, also, what you just said, Eric, first, is that I don't think when they were making The Lion King that they were overtly looking to Hamlet. I think...
Really? You don't think...
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know exactly, but pretty sure people have just noticed that similarity.
If they weren't, because I don't see how that's possible, because it's way to the same story. I mean, right down to, in Hamlet, there's a big monologue the king has when he's a ghost telling his son. I don't see how that's possible.
It's there, but I really don't think...
I mean, maybe you're right.
Disney,
you could be right.
Look at Cinderella, that is obvious, and like Beauty and the Beast. Yes, they were looking from a story. Lion King, as far as I know, was one of Disney's original works. And Hamlet is... Because Hamlet, if you think about it, Lion King's not the only movie that probably has done that type of story. I couldn't give you an example.
Everything takes from Hamlet. There's a lot.
That's... Exactly. Hamlet's very universal. Like, so is Romeo and Juliet, which Lion King 2 takes from.
Yeah, you're right.
And the thing is also, is that now, I'm not saying I agree with this, but there's that idea of Disneyfication, where they take a story and they change it to their will, and that's basically what they did with this, like they do with a lot of their stories, I think.
But I don't understand this.
Disneyfied it.
You said, and you could be right about that they didn't plan for it to be based on Hamlet.
I'm sure they did. Something tells me they did.
Yeah, because it seems too.
I don't know.
It seems too
too
similar.
There's just too many.
Right down to Mustafa saying you need to take your place.
I mean, if it is, it's not bad. Like, it doesn't make it any less
I'm just saying,
great because Hamlet's a great
right.
story.
You said that
so
it's
not like it's like, oh, it's bad now. Like, no.
Yeah.
You said that they bought the rights to it. I don't understand, once again, why it is they couldn't just make Disney's The Snow Queen. Is it too much synonyms to The Lion King? I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, that would have been
why it is that they couldn't just do.
I think it's just that Disney wanted to do something original
and
that was different.
I think because remember, it used to be structured way more like The Snow Queen at one point.
Right, and
so
I
think they had bought the rights, they were using it, and then they changed it.
I
wish
they still had to put it in there. Yeah.
Right. I wish that they would have. I wish that they would have kept it as the original story. Not every little detail like it, but I think that the original story was better and was more of a pro-female story, if they want to do that, than the story that they went with. And I just think it would have been an all-around better story. It had this great journey and this adventure that she would go on, and by the end you would actually feel like something happened. Like I said at the end of Frozen, where I thought nothing happened. These characters didn't change. They didn't go anywhere. Nothing changed.
But I don't think they were going with the pro-female, though. Maybe that's why they avoided that. Maybe they thought, oh, we just did Brave, we just did Tangled, we had all these pro-females. We'll do a sisterhood, like a pairing, and kind of not focus on the heroine, like Anna saving everything by herself. But she didn't, and that's fine. Maybe they didn't want her to. That's why they didn't do that story.
I just don't. Look, why it is that everybody says that they're glad that they went in a different direction. Then what's the different direction?
They did go in a different direction.
What's the different direction?
They've never done anything like this before.
I thought that it was very structurally, very exactly like Olaf was just kind of thrown in there because they need their anthropomorphic singing comic relief song, and
it was
and so
Disneyfication.
You want to talk about
the little pieces, yeah, but everything else wasn't.
The princesses being... I don't see how that's at all different. Wreck-It Ralph was different. They'd never done a video game story before. This one was pretty much like all the other Disney movies. I don't know why everybody's saying... If they want to do something different, do it about, like, something they have never done before. They're trying to do, like, the princess thing. They've done that a million times. If you want to do something different.
Well, it was a princess, but it was turned over. And it was turned differently. It was, like, the other side of the square.
The thing is, we're adults now, and we're viewing Disney movies as adults, and I think we're going to view them a little differently. Like, I think kids, when they get older, because this is from Tangled forward, this is considered the new Renaissance. I don't know if you guys are aware of that.
I hope not.
Never saw Tangled.
I thought it was pretty bland, but I saw it once, and I don't remember much about it, but I remember thinking, like, okay, yeah, that was good, that was okay. I remember not thinking it was bad. It was just
the thing is, I went into this movie just thinking to myself, I really hope that Anna isn't another Rapunzel.
Right.
And to me, I don't think she was.
No.
She was klutzy, and that was kind of annoying to me, but she was better than Rapunzel to me. And I guess we can move into characters if we want.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, because Anna, she's clumsy, but not... She did annoy me at times, I will say that, but...
She's,
I don't know.
A normal girl.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem.
An approachable girl.
I don't know about that, but...
As they say. Yeah, I liked her. I thought her character was it's very bubbly, it's very fun. It's like, yeah, this is what, again, the Jennifer Lawrence, this is what girls want to be like nowadays.
Yeah.
This is it. So this is the kind of thing that, again, that guys seem to like.
Yeah,
so.
And to build on the thing about being stuck in the castle, I mean, she acted like she was stuck in the castle for that long. Yes, 15 years, whatever, because everything was new to her, and she was so naive, and she didn't understand anything about the outside. As you were saying earlier about, oh, they shouldn't know anything. I don't think she did. I don't think she knew anything than what she inside.
During, oh God, what's the song?
Love's an open door.
Yes, during that song, thank you. During that song, she says, oh, I've never met someone who thinks quite like me. Really? Because you haven't met anyone at all. You've been locked in a castle for your whole life. When have you...
She's around some people.
No, I mean servants. Or
they're servants. Those are servants
sister.
are older. I mean, I thought she's comparing that like someone like, because I've gone on all these dates and I have never met someone that I thought someone... That's what I got out of it. You've been locked in a castle for all this time.
I thought
Who
it was
have
just
you
people
met?
that she knew.
Right.
So, overall, like, we're talking about characters, I thought that, and this is where I'm going to talk about how the main problem I have with this movie is that it was told in a very female-biased way. Like, for example, when you tell somebody a story and you make it biased towards yourself, like you make yourself look really good, you make the other people seem really stupid, somebody you don't like. I thought that this movie was told as if a, like, 13-year-old girl was telling her, like, innermost fantasies about how she viewed the world. Just in the way that the two main characters were these two princesses that were always seen as so beautiful and nothing was their fault and it was just a misunderstanding and Elsa's just trying to protect her sister and oh, woe is them. But the boys, oh no. Kristoff is a disgusting loner that doesn't want to be near any people, and we have to have an entire song dedicated to talking about all of his disgusting, nasty, boy-like qualities, like how he pees in the woods, and he smells bad no matter how much he bathes, and there's this old creepy guy that, oh, ha ha ha, the girls get to laugh at how creepy this old guy is that wants to dance with them and just wants their money, and then there's Hans, who's the big jerk that's just seen as this psychopathic jerk killer that every girl sees a guy breaking up with them like. And I don't think that I'm the only one that's seeing it in this way, because if you look at the on YouTube, the literal trailer for Frozen, they say something like, oh, it's the movie that teaches girls that they don't need a man to solve all their problems because all men are either, and then they go through the three characters like I just said. It's just how the girls are seen. It's seen in a girl biased way. Like it's being shown from the girl's perspective, and they're showing it's showing in a biased way rather than realistically the way everything is. It's the way it is according to a girl.
I think that's okay. Because, I mean, like, how many movies are men biased? You know, like, there's so many of those. You know, like, let's go with, like, superhero movies, for instance. Like, look how the women are dressed. You know? Like, it's a men world, so if they get one movie, I think that's okay. But I see what you're saying. Like, I understand that, and I kind of see it.
It's just funny to me how even the one guy character that's supposed to be the good guy is still seen as this portrayed as this disgusting, the thing with the eating the carrot that the reindeer already took a bite of, and the whole thing about...
you know, we're kind of gross sometimes, like, not gonna lie, like, we're kind of gross. Sometimes.
If you want to go with the stereotypical girl, then you gotta go with the stereotypical guy. You gotta have it both ways.
Right.
But they didn't go with the stereotypical girl. They did it from the girls, from their perspective. Nothing was their fault. It was a misunderstanding. She's just trying to protect her sister. Why is it that they couldn't just keep the Snow Queen story where the Snow Queen is the villain and they don't have to invent these evil princes that are just hungry?
Already.
But why did they do that? That's what I don't understand, why they did that. And then just one last thing is... so once again, that's the main reason that I don't like the movie, is because it was told that's what I mean when it's told in a female-biased way. Just the way the dialogue is spoken, it's all done in very girl-type humor. The same humor in Mean Girls, the same humor in Pitch Perfect. It's all the same general type of timing and the general type of humor, and I think that this is done because, like you see a lot of times nowadays, Disney finally figured out, let's hop on the train of you don't have to make a good product. Let's not try to make a quality product. Let's try to make something that girls and females will emotionally attach themselves to, because if they do that, then we'll make more money than just trying to make a general good quality product. And for example, you can see that in Twilight. Twilight's awful, and Twilight's badly made and badly written, but the way that the Edward, or whatever his name is written, and the way that they casted the Jacob guy in the movie is meant to have girls emotionally attach themselves to it. So no matter how bad the actual product is, they're still gonna get tons of money from it, and probably more money, because if you get that demographic to be obsessed with something and to like something, you will make more money than just trying to make a generally good product. Period. End of state. And that's my main point.
I thought this was a good product.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
See, that's the
also,
difference. So.
Like, okay, so, well, you brought up Mean Girls. Like, I was gonna say, like, Mean Girls is one of my favorite movies. I think it has more potential than people give it credit.
I would not expect that.
So I would say that this movie would be the same way. Like, I know we were talking about this, and you said this was like the Twilight of Disney movies.
Yeah.
Ouch.
But see,
I've never seen Twilight, and I have no desire to see Twilight.
Good. I saw the first movie because I lost a bet, and it's awful.
I would say I disagree with that a little bit.
In the way that it only uses... and examples of the way in which it attaches females to it are, number one, that... And these are ways that I thought that, like I talked about, it was focused on the wrong thing. It should have been focused on Elsa and not on examples of just really quickly, examples of ways in which it attaches itself to females are, number one, when that pointless scene where Anna's waking up in the morning just so girls can be like, oh my god, that's totally me when I'm waking up waiting to go to school. This is so realistic. This is so much better than all other Disney movies. Really, it's realistic because that's the only time that she is seen that way. The rest of the time, she looks absolutely perfect when she's running out into the woods and going wherever. Her hair sure is perfect then, but because they show that one time is supposed to make girls emotionally attach themselves to it. And that part for the first time in Forever where she says, like we were talking about before, I don't know if I'm elated or gassy or somewhere in, but like, what are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything? She's just saying that because, once again, that's how girls generally feel when they're getting ready and they're excited for something. And I want to stuff some chocolate in my face. That has nothing to do with anything before it or after it. It's just randomly put in there just so that girls will be like, oh my god, she likes chocolate too. I love chocolate. I feel the same way. And they emotionally attach themselves to it. And then the whole Let It Go, which I actually like that song, is just basically like, oh my god, nobody understands me, which every teenage girl feels, and that's just her just literally letting go of every single thing that every teenage girl feels.
So where do you draw the line between emotional attachment or relatability? Because I think relatability is a plus, and emotional attachment goes with it, so I don't really know where you're drawing the line.
If it was done in a less biased way, and if the things I could relate
I think with Disney did it in a biased way because of the attacks they've been getting.
Well, I disagree. Well, then Disney, I disagree with you. Then I just disagree that Disney did that. If there were like a guy character that I could relate with, Kristoff, I can't relate with Kristoff. I don't.
But they didn't want you to. I don't think.
Well, good, but they
because
did want.
You are a guy.
But they wanted girls to attach themselves to Anna and Elsa.
Yeah,
because it is a princess movie at the end of the day, so that's what they're going for.
But that's what I don't get is that why I don't eat carrots with my reindeer,
that's
and I don't.
Literal.
I was gonna say, like, I don't dress in princess gowns, but I love Belle because I like to read.
I talk to reindeers, but whatever. It's just a me thing, I guess. I was like, this movie gets me, but I guess not.
Oh gosh. Okay, JD, don't reveal your dark secrets to us.
Belle was a more realistic character. I like.
No, I totally get what you're saying, but like,
I just don't like. And so by the and once again, I'm not the only one. I told you about just look up critical review of Frozen on YouTube, and you'll find it. If they were going for emotional attachment with females, they sure got it. I mean,
No, you're
That's
right.
They
not
love
what
this.
they
So
were
they
going for.
exactly.
And we'll put that link in the show notes. I just think that we should take it like
Okay,
somewhere
let's
where
go
we're not
somewhere else.
criticizing it anymore.
Then
But
go.
you're totally free to do so.
Yeah.
But we should probably do talk about other things.
Okay, sure.
All
Let's
right,
go
take
to
us to
somewhere.
the next step.
Well, I was gonna say we talked about Anna, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What about Elsa?
I think the decision to turn her from a villain to a sister that kind of becomes a anti-hero sort of villain. I think that was a smarter choice, in my opinion, because it has more meat to it. If she was just a bad guy to start off, it'd be like, oh, she's evil.
And
Okay.
predictable, yeah. You could have
You
guessed
know,
that from the beginning.
Yeah. Now, unless they went it with I don't want to jump off topic too much, but the new Maleficent movie that they're doing, it seems like they're giving her a lot more backstory and something interesting. So maybe if they had went that route and fleshed it all out before the movie starts, maybe that would have been okay. But I just think the way they went was there's more connection to this character now. There's more, again, what they were going for. There's more attachment. You want to see the conflict between those two characters resolved, because you care about Elsa, before she leaves. You're like, man, I sure hope, that they fix their relationship, because they were so, in tune, and so, they had fun together and whatnot beforehand. So
I
it's
disagree.
Can they fix it? Will they be okay?
Oh,
Exactly.
I see. No, go ahead.
Sorry,
I
go
talked
ahead.
for a long time. Go ahead. I'll go at the end.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
Plus, she has superpowers. Come on.
I know.
Come on.
Superpowers are fun.
I think they might have been going for that too. I think, but still think it's fun.
You could be right, actually, with all the phenomenon of.
Yeah, I think that was
superheroes.
probably hey, it's a princess with superpowers. Yeah.
That's true.
I think
Yeah.
with Elsa, I feel like you said, they fleshed her out so much more as a Snow Queen in this, because in the original story, the Snow Queen is she's just a villain. She's just kind of there. You never
Right.
really talk to her, and also, at the end of the original story, she's not even there, when Gerda comes to rescue Kai. She's on a trip. She's on vacation or something.
Bye, going to Disney World. Peace.
Yeah, it's just very anticlimactic, and I feel like Disney kind of was like, okay, let's make this climactic, let's make it make sense, and have these characters come to terms with certain things and wrestle with issues that do go on in modern day, which we will get to later in this discussion. But I think people of this generation will be able to relate to Elsa a lot more than, say, if this was made when Snow White was made.
Right.
And my thoughts on Elsa, I already covered them earlier. How I loved how she was quiet in the beginning. It was like a quiet storm. You wanted to learn more about her, but you didn't until her big song is when you finally see her personality. And I like that. I like that they waited. They made you wait to really understand her.
She let it all go.
That's right. She let it go.
Yeah.
She kind of reminds me, not totally, but with her isolation, kind of like the Beast.
Yeah.
In that
that's what I thought of.
Yeah, she just can't accept who she is.
Yeah.
And she's frustrated with herself.
See, when JD was talking about how he wanted to see the conflict between them resolved, I didn't emotionally feel anything, because there wasn't enough of a conflict. They were shown one time having fun together. Afterwards, there's that whole period of time where they don't talk at all, and there's no communication. And I don't and if they were shown trying to be together but they couldn't because of her snow powers, that would have made it more emotionally.
That was implied, though.
No, but if they were trying to whisper to each other through the door, and if they were trying to
that was
actually
the whole song, the snowman song.
No, Elsa didn't talk to her.
Because I think Elsa was afraid.
No, but see, if Elsa was shown actually trying to talk to her, this is one thing I don't get. It's just the whole story to begin with, and you were saying how you liked that Elsa wasn't the villain. Once again, the whole female biased point I made, I don't understand why it is that the Snow Queen couldn't just be the villain, and that they couldn't. I don't understand why they couldn't do that. Why they had to make.
Well, she is.
No, she's.
I mean,
no, she's not.
She's not to us, but she is to the characters in the story at times.
I never got the sense that she was.
This is like Wicked, though. I mean, think of Wicked,
Yes.
like Alphaba.
It is. Wow.
Huh.
I mean, I had to bring it up. Sorry.
But why is it that female villains get this whole backstory of how everything's just a misunderstanding? I want a movie then about Jafar and how he was just misunderstood. I want a movie about.
I would actually pay a lot of money to.
No, I know. I
I'm
would
not
say
gonna
called
lie.
Jafar. And
Well, okay, let me think, because I know that has been done before with men.
really,
I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
I was just trying to save the Sultan, not kill him. Come on.
yeah.
But Jafar is just, he's just bad. Like that, like you can't take from an original Disney movie. I would say take from a movie, something that hasn't been made yet, and have Disney tackle it, because Jafar, can't really use him as an example. He was bad.
No, I know.
Same with
That's my
Ursula,
point.
if you want to go with a woman's side.
Yeah.
She was just
No.
bad.
No, I get that. See, she was just bad, but she was like a supernatural. She was.
So is Jafar.
No,
In a
no, he's
sense,
not.
when
He's
he
a real
became-
person.
He was, but he got the lamp.
At
so
the
that gave him
end.
supernatural ability.
I just don't understand why it is that the first of all, I just don't understand why they couldn't just keep with the regular story, be about the boy and the girl that are friends, and the boy gets kidnapped by the Snow Queen, and the Snow Queen's the
It
villain.
was done already.
But why couldn't they
They
just
did that
stay
story.
with that? When?
They did that cartoon, the Snow Queen, that whole cartoon, the whole movie.
But you have
Disney
to remember
did that?
also that Disney likes to Disney-fy things. Maybe we do like the original story, but that's why people get what you're doing right now is not new, Eric. Like people, Alice in Wonderland came out and people flipped out when it came out because they didn't feel it did justice to this amazing story.
Wait, was that
I don't know.
Snow Queen movie, that cartoon, was that Disney?
No.
No.
There's a lot.
I've never
Like,
seen a Snow Queen movie.
I've seen one, but it was a long
Here
like
it
I
is,
own it, but
1995.
Oh.
Tom and his
wow.
sister Ellie live in an ordinary town, leading ordinary lives, but not for long. Far away in her vast ice palace, the Snow Queen plots to rule the world. Blah, 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 blah. Fast-moving, funny. Yeah, I remember this movie when I was little.
Oh.
This is what I was basing the Snow Queen off of in my head.
right.
I
This
don't.
exact movie. Yep.
I
didn't
just
know
don't
it was a thing.
understand. Yeah.
Maybe that's where our disconnect is then. Whenever I keep saying, oh, it was done, I'm thinking of this, and you didn't even know it existed.
Right.
That's probably where we're missing our points.
Yeah. See, I just don't get why either. Then go with a different story. I just didn't like the story that they went with. I just didn't like it, and I just didn't like that the Snow Queen was not the villain, and that they had to make it up as a misunderstanding. They had to make up these guy characters to be the villains, which the Duke was pointless. He could have not been in the movie, and the movie would have been the same. I don't-
No,
Well,
it
it's-
wouldn't. He's the one who made everyone turn on her. Like, he's the one who
You could have
called
just
her
done
out.
that with you could have just done that with villagers. You could have just had them try to attack the guy. He didn't need to be there. He wasn't an important character. I just don't think.
No, he didn't need to be there, but in Harry Potter, like, there's so many things that don't need to be there in the books, but they're there because they have character development, and they flesh out the characters, and they provide, like Jen was saying, he was
World
the one who
building.
says yeah, exactly, like you're fleshing out this world.
Yeah.
I don't know, he wasn't necessary, you're totally right, but
I just
he
didn't like
adds
that
to the
character.
story.
I just hated that character. He was.
I didn't like him either.
Didn't need to
I
be
love
there.
that guy.
I like him
love
too.
that guy.
Yes, thank
yeah,
you.
I really like that guy.
I didn't like that
He was
character at all.
hilarious.
We're on the same page, and this is awesome.
We got this,
Moving on to Hans. Everybody
Okay,
says that how oh my god, such a plot twist at the end. Any Disney movie could have just taken a character you thought was good and at the very end have them be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm bad. I actually don't. You could have just done that. If there were subtle hints throughout the whole time as to that he was, and then when he says that, you sort of look back like, oh my god, he did that, and he did that, and he did that. Wow, you're right. Sort of like, we were just talking about Harry Potter, how at the end of, not in the movie, but the book, at the end of the first book, how Professor Quirrell, how you thought he was a good guy, but then you realize, oh, during the Quidditch match, no, he was Snape knocked him down, and he was the one that was really trying to get Harry. And and this time, it made sense. Here, he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm bad. And you're just supposed to dislike him. I thought that if you want to do that, okay, I don't really agree with it, but if you want to do that, okay, I would have been more okay with it if they made subtle hints throughout the movie that was his motive. then rather than just making him like, oh, you never saw this coming. Well, you're right, I didn't. You could do that with any character. Just make them say, oh, by the way, I'm a bad guy.
But have they, though? I don't remember that ever happening.
No,
They haven't.
No, but that's my point. They could have.
No,
But
I
why
agree.
it's new. They didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And what you just said, like, I hate to bring up Harry Potter again, but you know, if you look at somebody like Snape or Dumbledore, and you're explaining them at the end, I've read the books now 6 times, and it's took me a long time to pick up things, especially about Dumbledore, hinting to why he did certain things later in the books. And so I think with Hans, yes, I agree with you. There are things that should have been there to show that he was a villain.
I agree.
But if you go back, there are things
Are
that
there?
the film does, like film things, like they shade his face a certain way,
right,
you only see a
yeah.
certain half of his face.
Right.
That he wears gloves. That shows, like, and Elsa wears gloves as well to show that they're hiding something about their identity.
Right.
Elsa takes her gloves off and let it go, and she becomes her true
Right.
self. Hans takes his gloves off when he tells Anna, hey, I'm bad, and then he puts them back on when he leaves
See,
her.
there's a lot
So-
more in here
Huh.
than what you think. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
didn't notice
thinking
that.
involved. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot, I think, if you go back and really pay attention, there's a lot that you probably missed. Because
Yeah.
as we've been going, a lot of the times you've been saying, "Oh wow, I didn't notice that. Oh, I didn't think of that." So
Right, exactly. It's a very
you
intellectual.
have to think through this movie, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally agree with you, Eric, but at the same time,
Yeah, I see
I don't
your-
think...
I just think
Yeah,
that,
I see all the points.
and another thing I really disliked is when he was sort of revealing that he was the bad guy. It was completely in the context of his situation and his character. How he acted was extremely. There was a disconnect between his motive and the way that he acted. He acted in a very like cool, confident way. Wow, you did just like that, and you acted like they tried way too hard to get you to dislike him and to get girls to just see him as, oh my god, that jerk that broke up with her. I can't believe he did that. They just so overemphasized that he acted like that. I think that they really should have had him act more sort of out of control. Like, he's the youngest of 13, and he wanted his own kingdom. He should have acted more like a brat, more insecure about himself, more out of control than he actually did. They try, just like James Cameron does in his movies, in Titanic or in Avatar, where they just try way too hard to get you to dislike the bad guy by having them overact very unrealistically. It's like, okay, stop trying. If they just acted in a natural way, like, then I would have probably disliked him more than I do. It, like, Scar in The Lion King acted in a lot more of a realistic, more sinister, jealous, more out of control way, which made sense to his situation. And it made him more of a villain in that way, because you understood his motive. Hans acts different than what his motive would dictate and they just tried to overdo, and that's once again the female bias thing of just trying to get him to seem like the jerk boy that broke up with you and broke up with the poor girl that's laying there on the sofa. They overdid it too much when he did that.
I think we're seeing it too much, though, as like a teen flick. I don't think it was meant to be.
I think that it was. I think that it was.
Yeah, I don't think... I mean, you can't... I can tell you right now that I hate the movie Pitch Perfect, and I would not compare this to that.
What you just said about it being more of a teen flick, I think that if they didn't portray it that way, I wouldn't see it that way.
You mean in the trailer?
Not in the trailer, like, just in the way that the characters act, the way that they act too much like modern day. Like, if you gave Elsa and Anna iPhones and Starbucks and had them wear Ugg boots, nothing about their character would change. I can see them both exactly like that, like the modern day. I know you're saying, well, that's relatability, but they're supposed to be fantasy princesses, and the relatability is supposed to be on how they react to their situations, not necessarily how their characters are in general. I don't know how to explain that. And just some of the dialogue was just so way too modern and way too like how people act today that I see it like a teen flick because that's how they act. Like oh, it's okay, you can do this, I won't judge. Really? You're saying I won't judge? Aren't you supposed to be the Princess of Arendelle, some fantasy land? And then the part where she says, oh, it's okay, the last time I brought you wait here, the last time I introduced her to a guy, she froze the whole place. The last time I introduced her to a guy? What, like, I like you're some, college freshman girl in your dorm room? Not, and no offense to college freshman girls out there, but I just don't like, you're saying, like, don't see it as, like, I personally, I think they present it like a teen flick through the dialogue and through how the characters act.
I don't know about teen so much as it is modernization. Like,
no, yeah, I agree.
That's,
yeah, that's how.
And I don't
you're right.
see anything wrong with that. I think that's a positive, actually. I don't want them to talk like medieval times or.
I think people
whatever.
would dislike it if they did.
I'm just saying specific sayings. Like if you watch Beauty and the Beast, you could watch that today and the dialogue also holds up, but they talk in a sort of they don't walk around saying like, yo man, that was da bomb. They don't say that, which was a popular saying at that time. But
that would be funny.
Yeah, that would be good. That's like to me what the equivalent is. Yeah, could you imagine LeFou being like, yo Gaston, that's the bomb.
Yo! Oh man, that movie would be even better. I'm sorry. It'd be even better.
I mean, okay, so I don't think this is the first time Disney's done it though. Like, I feel like they incorporate modern language into all their films at some point.
I don't know about as much as... Like, if you look at...
Not as much as this.
If you look at Mulan, they all acted culturally like they should have acted. And yeah, I know that there's...
That movie totally goes against, though, because they use a lot of modern language.
No, I know that they have... I know that Mushu, but that was just a comic. That was what was supposed to be funny about him, was the fact that he talked like that.
But still, it's there.
Yeah, I just saw that as more of a... He was a dragon anyway, and they don't really exist, so you don't really... I don't know. I didn't see that as the same one.
He was a dragon.
Dragons are the exception. Write that down.
Look, I didn't have a problem with Olaf talking the way he did, even though I hated that character, but...
Oh.
Who did you hate?
Olaf.
How can you...
Oh, Olaf.
How can you hate Olaf? He's
Whoa.
so adorable.
Alright, we're gonna have to move into a discussion about that one.
Yeah, Olaf?
My.
Okay. See, Olaf... He says the weirdest things.
It's so funny.
The only part that I really laughed at the movie out loud was the part where it just randomly goes to his face and he's like, I don't have any bones or spine or whatever he says.
Or skull.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the one part that I thought that was really...
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
everything he said. I was pretty laughing at almost all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like, when you see the trailer, I thought to myself, oh god.
Yeah, I was like, no.
Yeah, but he's surprising, and his humor is, I mean, there's other humor in the movie, but I don't think his is the problem.
No.
I'd say the modern language would be the humor problem. Like when they're using modern language, she's saying, I won't judge, and people might laugh at that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd say Olaf is not the problem with the film, I'd say something like that would be the problem.
Yeah.
When it comes to Olaf, I just didn't like him because he was just kind of thrown in because, oh, well, we're Disney and we need our anthropomorphic sidekick comedy relief character.
You're right.
So
If you
we're
remember,
just gonna...
he's the snowman in the beginning that she creates, and then she creates him again, and this time he's alive. He's like the connection between the childhood and the adulthood. I think.
You're right. If they made that more apparent and they made that...
I got
they
that.
didn't-
I don't know.
No,
I mean,
I
they
understand
glance
that,
over
but...
it because,
yeah.
hey, you can create life now? Yeah. And then that's kind of it. It's like, oh.
That's an interesting thing with Elsa's powers. Like, I can create ice. I can also make myself a dress.
Yep.
And I can build a castle.
I was
and I
like,
can
yo,
create a
this is
living
the
snowman.
Swiss Army knife of ice powers.
Yeah.
Just saying.
She can make... Why didn't Olaf come alive the first time she made him?
Because I don't think her powers were the same,
Right,
though.
they weren't strong enough. Nah,
Yeah.
same thing.
Just about him. I get that he was supposed to symbolize that. If he had done more, if they had really shown that and had like some moment between her and Anna, like, oh yeah, remember when we built him together? Wasn't and then they're like,
that in Elsa's eyes when she saw him and she was like, oh Olaf, oh you're alive. Like she saw that, and you saw that in both of their faces that they had that moment. It just wasn't spelled out, but I felt.
I just didn't feel it. I thought that they should have. I just didn't feel it, and I thought that if that was his point, they should have done that more. And he comes in halfway through the movie, and he doesn't have any type of point to the plot, other than at the end. Oh well, except for at the end, I guess when he's the one saying he's the one explaining love to Anna. He didn't have to be the one doing that. It should have been something specific to him. If you took him out of the movie, I feel like nothing would change. He had no centered plot. I think that I like the guy that played him, the guy that did the voice of him. I thought that he did a really good job, but I just thought that the writing of him, literally, he is only there to every single time you see him say some off-the-wall funny thing that's really unnatural and very forced.
I think his role is the same as that Duke's guy that you don't like. They're both subtle, and they're both, if you take them out, whatever, they don't have a huge point to the plot, but they have a emotional feeling, and they add a depth and a layer that you don't notice that are there, but you do need them more than you think you do.
But I don't think that Olaf is needed that much, because he didn't do anything. He was just kind of thrown into all these scenes as.
But his presence is the symbol of their childhood and into adulthood and their connection.
No, I get that it's supposed to be that, but I think that that should have been made more of an emotional part of the movie and bigger part of the movie. And I just thought that. And another thing I didn't like, okay, the whole business with just because they had to give him some type of character, the whole part about he wants to be in summer, and I've always wondered this. Really, you've always wondered that? You've been alive for about 6 hours. What do you mean you've always wondered that? Oh, my buddies will see me in the summer. Your buddies? Once again, you've only been alive for about 6 hours. What snowman friends do you have? And if you do have snowman friends, why couldn't you talk to the snowman that was chasing after Anna and Kristoff? And I know I'm nitpicking, it's things like that like it makes it seem hard to really get into that character. And then at the end where he says, oh, well, some people are worth melting for. Oh, but not right now. Then when? Isn't that the point of you melting? Like, what do you mean not right now? I didn't get that. I thought that Olaf, I understood the character. I get that there needs to be that non-human character for the comedy in it, but if you look at how that character was done in other movies, the genie in Aladdin was a point and a big point of the story. He was the main part of the story, of the lamp and everything. He was the main point of the movie. If you look at the Lumiere and Cogsworth and all of the appliances in Beauty and the Beast, they were a point in the story. They attacked the villagers when they came to break down the castle. They were the servants that worked in the castle, and at the end when they were transformed back, you got to see what they really looked like. They were part of the whole castle transforming and the beast transforming. They were an important part of the story. The mice and Cinderella, they were transformed into the horses that pulled the carriage with Cinderella to the ball. They were her inner voice. They were her only friends within the castle. They were the ones that built the dress for her. They had a point of being there and made sense. Olaf doesn't, and if his point was to connect their childhood, they should have done that and had more of an emotional moment with that. And I think that was his point. It's just they should have done that more.
I got it. I don't know. But what about Abu, though? If you don't talk about Aladdin, Abu had nothing to do. He was just a little monkey.
I don't know. He was.
The thing is, you have to remember that this is Disney, and they have that template, and they had to have the sidekick.
I know. I think that he could have been. I just think he could have been done in a better. And he could have been like the genie at some parts is serious. All those characters, while they were there for funny, they were serious at some parts. Olaf really isn't very serious until the end, where he says the melting thing, which once again didn't make sense to me. He should have, if they mixed him being serious with him being funny, it would have worked better.
I think that's the style of Disney movies today, I feel like,
it would have taken away the focus of where it needed to be. I mean, yeah, he took all the good lines, and he didn't really do much except have that emotional attachment between the two, but he didn't need to have a storyline. They had enough going on with the other characters.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't need that. Like, the genie, his sentimental moments and his funny moments were kind of needed for the story, whereas Olaf's weren't.
Well, they should have written it differently then, so that he was more important, is what I'm saying, and not just had this character that was just kind of there.
Well, what about, we haven't talked about Kristoff yet. I mean, I know, Eric, you were talking about him as disgusting, but what do you guys think?
I like him.
I liked him. I liked him
I put
for
him in the
himself.
same boat with Olaf and the Duke guy. I mean, they're all supporting characters, and
Yeah.
he had enough screen time. He did his job, and he wasn't a main plot mover. I mean, he just had little bits and pieces, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Right.
He did.
Yeah.
He did a good job doing what he was supposed to do. He
Right.
moved the plot forward, so he did a
Yeah.
good job. And I like his character. Like, it wasn't like offensive or anything. I like that he talks to reindeer. That was a weird quirk, and it delivered some funny moments. It's like, well, that's weird, but I like it.
I do.
You know?
Yeah. Speaking of his reindeer, Sven, that I loved. Watching it a second time, I didn't appreciate it as much in the theaters, but when I went to watch it for this, I love that reindeer. I think that's the cutest thing. Like when he's going up the steps and he can't make it, and then he's like,
Yeah.
Sven, stay here, and then he just sits with a smile and just sits and waits for him. Like that was
Who doesn't love a
adorable.
boy? Yeah, a boy and his dog.
That was
Everybody
cute.
loves
I
that
laughed
story.
out loud when I rewatched that. That was really cute.
I actually did like Kristoff, and I liked that they knew enough not to give Sven a voice, and they had Kristoff give him a voice. That was part of Kristoff's. Kristoff, the character they were going for, was this loner guy that didn't want to talk to anybody and didn't want to have anything to do with people, and then he meets Anna, and by the end his character changes, and that he falls in love with Anna, and that they end up together, and that he goes from disliking people and only wanting to be with his reindeer to then wanting to be with people. If that's his character, they should have shown that more. I just think they should have shown that more. Before I actually watched the movie, I had seen clips on YouTube of it, and I thought that he was going to be in the movie more than what I thought. I thought that the big point of the movie was going to be with once again, the story they went with. It should have been Anna and Kristoff disliking each other at first, but then going on this adventure to get Elsa back and really
they kind of don't like each
bonding,
other.
and then really bonding over it. There's maybe one or two moments they have, but it should have been a really changing thing, them going to get Elsa.
Yeah, but like Jen said, I don't think he was meant to be a main character. The story is a sister focus, and he was the side character to help them get from point A to point B.
But do you know what I mean? They presented the entire point of that ice song at the beginning was to show him as a little kid and to have him develop as a character.
So they foreshadow the entire movie. If you really listen to the lyrics, I mean, they talk about frozen hearts and all kinds of things.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a foreshadowing.
And that's my favorite song.
Yeah.
From the movie.
Yeah, it's the one everyone skips, but it's one of the best ones.
No, it's
I
definitely.
mean, we'll get to the music, but
Well, real quick. Sorry, go ahead.
We're not on music, but I was going to say, it reminded me of Pocahontas and that opening song in Pocahontas.
I did notice that in your notes, and for me, it reminded me of Pocahontas as well, but also the song before Frozen Heart, that instrumental track with the choir,
so much.
that reminded, it's so beautiful, and I don't know why, but kind of reminds me of Lilo and Stitch, the Hawaiian sound. Even though it's not Hawaiian, obviously, but just the chorus. I don't know what it was, but I thought of Lilo and Stitch.
by the way, Disney did do a sister movie, and it was Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, but it's not a princess movie. And it's not really focused on sisters. It's the relationship between Stitch and Lilo. It's
That's
A
my
girl
point.
and her dog.
Yeah.
yeah.
Her pet.
Yeah.
But let's move on now from characters, though. Let's move on to the animation of the characters.
Wait, we didn't talk
Okay.
about the trolls.
Oh my gosh, you're totally right.
Yeah, go back.
I forgot about them. Sorry. My bad.
My
Trolls.
note should have been taken out immediately, so there's that. I hated this.
Yeah. Yeah,
My one complaint about this movie.
I think
I
they should have been
mind them.
used more,
I agree with
Yeah.
Danielle.
I think they should have been used a little bit
I
more.
actually like them.
but because they weren't, that's why I didn't
They were
like
I
them.
actually-
contrived and just stupid.
I like the
Yeah.
characters themselves. I thought that they just they leave them and then that's it. And they're like, oh, well, I guess that she'll go take care of that frozen heart. Let's go back to whatever we're doing. But I think they
Yeah.
should have come back at the end. And it should have come full circle. They were at the beginning, they should have come back at the end and been there doing the whole, how funny would that have been if a bunch of the trolls were doing a big long, they were all holding hands and all ice skating together at the end. That would have been so
That would have been
funny.
legit.
That would have been
good.
really funny,
Yeah,
and they should have, and
absolutely.
it
Maybe
would have
that's
actually,
what I was missing from them. Their closure.
yeah.
They didn't really
Yeah.
do anything. They were like, oh, here comes the MacGuffin trolls, and they're
Yeah.
gone.
Well, that's another thing. Like, when they came, like, to sing their song, when I first saw the movie in theaters, I was like, wait, they're Kristoff's family? I was like, when did this happen? Like, I didn't know he was an orphan, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but
I know
watching it, you get that quote of that one troll saying, "Oh, you're so cute, I'm gonna keep you," whenever they're little.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that the first time.
Really? I got that. Since all the stuff you didn't get, I got, and all the stuff I didn't get, you got. Because I got that the first time, like, I got, they were saying that, like, oh, they were going to stay with them, and at the end when he was saying, at first I didn't, the one time that I went like, oh, wow, he's right, is when he says at first he's talking about, oh, my friends, they're love experts, and then he says it again, he's like, oh, we're going to go see my friends. Oh, what, the love experts? Yeah, well, they're my family. And then I remembered, oh, he's talking about the trolls. Wow,
right.
That's who he's talking about.
Wow, you did get that. I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, I got that.
Nice.
Me neither.
That was, I actually thought that was well done. And so I like the trolls, they should have come back at the end. I like them themselves.
Yeah, I think we all
trolls.
Agree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, should have came back.
It's a definite.
One thing we all agree on, yay.
Yeah, right.
Yay! It's a miracle.
Took us 2 hours.
Yes. Okay, so now we can move on to animation.
Hey.
No more characters, right?
Yeah.
No more characters we really care about. At least.
No.
Nah.
Okay, so let's talk about the animation of just the characters for a moment. What do we think? I mean, I guess this goes for all Disney CGI or movies, but what do we think of the characters' animation?
Fantastic.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a combination of hand drawn and CG, not Paperman style, but it's like they're going for that fluidity that 2D animation has, which is why I really liked it, because I was like, there's something I can't put my finger on about this that I really like, and they're like, oh, we used a combination of 2D and CG, so I'm like, ah!
I did notice that their motions, like, especially in First Time in Forever,
Yeah.
just watching Anna move, like, was so smooth and...
Yeah, it's just really nice.
Yeah. Because I hated that big puffy animation, whatever, the Pixar stuff, the 3D stuff. I hated that. I missed the 2D, but until this movie, I can get used to this kind. I didn't even notice it wasn't 2D until halfway through the second rewatch. So I'm thinking, wow, it's not 2D. I didn't even notice. I liked it.
Right.
That's impressive.
But I have to say, I don't like... I don't really like their facial expressions, though, in CGI. Maybe that's just me. I think their eyes are too big.
I like it.
It's the translation. It's just, it has that same style from the old ones, but just translating at 3D. So it just takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
But it'll grow on you.
There's I actually like the movie visually. I like the characters and how they were animated. I liked the way that I thought the water, I thought it was real water. I liked how they showed the water, the way the ice moved, the way the snow moved. I really liked how they animated all of that and how everything looked. The one complaint I have, and Danielle, I've talked with you about this, was especially when they do close-ups, the way in which they animated the females' faces, because they were why did they animate them with makeup on? That just bothered me. I just didn't think that needed to be done, and it just goes and it just goes with my point about the feminist biasm, not feminist but female biasm, is that they always looked so beautiful and like had all of this makeup on, especially right at the very end of Let It Go, where it's right in Elsa's face and it's just covered in makeup. Like, why did you animate it that way? Couldn't she just look like a normal thing? Why did you animate it with makeup on?
Part of that was probably trying to get the effects too, like trying to see if they can animate things with makeup, which is probably part of that, and like the snow, all of this stuff, a lot of it is experimental half the time.
And that's a really good point, actually, because you go back to our discussion about Snow White and how I was telling you guys how the prince, they had such a hard time animating him, they had to cut him out. So people will say, or cut his role, I should say, and people will criticize Snow White because the prince wasn't used, but really, they were experimenting, and they really couldn't do the prince.
Exactly, like during Let It Go, I think everybody knows this by now, and Elsa's hair clips through her shoulder when she's undoing her braid, and it phases right through the shoulder, because they could not figure out how to get it without that happening.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that was the thing that happened. You have to look so close, and you'll miss it like 95% of the time. But if you look, it phases right through. Because they said if they tried to make it where her hair were to flip back behind her shoulder, her hair would have turned into origami. I don't know what that means.
Wow.
I want to see that. but they couldn't
Wow.
figure it out. So they just had to be like, whatever, no one will notice,
Wow.
and nobody did.
Can we go back to the animation of everything else? Like the beautiful scenes, and the snow, and the castle, and
Yeah, I agree with I
by
liked
the
all that.
end, that ending scene, I forgot how beautiful that was. That animation is amazing. They've come so far with that. It sparkled. I mean,
They
it was
did.
shiny, and it was vibrant, and it was bright.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Remember Toy Story 1? Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Ugh. There's a reason they use toys.
I mean, it's so nice. I was gonna say it's so nice to see how far they've come with it.
Yeah,
They really have.
it's true.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Very, very
I think
cool.
it's up to par with a lot of other Disney scenery, as with your
Yeah.
question
Speaking
of
of,
the week.
did you
Yeah.
guys, when you saw it in the theater, did you see it in 3D IMAX or 3D? Anything?
Regular.
Yeah, regular.
Regular.
I saw it in 3D IMAX. So that's
How was that?
why it was epic. Maybe that's why
Yeah.
another reason I love this movie so much, because the
That
snow,
could be it.
it was like the snow was there with me when it was at the end, when it was snowing, and it was everywhere, and the sparkles were everywhere. I felt like it was in the theater. It was so real and the 3D, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
No, yeah, you're right, because I saw Beauty and the Beast in the 3D,
Yeah.
and it's not the same as Frozen in any means, but just you notice so many little details in the animation. It's just beautiful.
You do?
And at the beginning, when they were sawing with the ice, I mean, that came right straight forward. Like, it was intended. They knew it was going to be in 3D, so they made little things like that.
Right.
And I mean, it was beautiful in 3D. It was made for 3D,
Oh.
this movie.
I want to
That
see it in
was
3D
amazing.
now.
You can't.
Just go buy a
Oh my
3D
gosh.
TV. It's
Ugh.
okay.
Good luck.
Don't worry,
kidding.
they'll
No.
re-release it. 20 years from now, they'll
Yeah.
re-release it in 3D for you.
Yeah, our kids will see it in theaters.
Music.
Yeah, we're gonna move to music,
Okay.
Okay.
so we can keep it going.
I mean, I liked the actual score, the music. I thought that was okay because I didn't really notice it very much. I liked it. It fit really with all the scenes and everything that they wanted to do with that. The pure non-musical numbers. The issue I have is when it comes to the, like I said, the actual singing musical numbers. If you just go through the first song, the Ice song, I like that song on its own. It has nothing to do with the... I know you said the lyrics, if you listen to them really closely. I'm talking about, like, actual plot. I didn't get... Except to show that Kristoff liked ice, and then that's why when he saw the ice, he could go to the trolls and watch what was going on, and then that's when the one troll said, I'm gonna keep you, and then that's how he knew later to go back to the trolls. But that's like really far of a stretch all to have one song. I think that it was a total Les Mis ripoff of the first song in Les Mis. I think that they just had it so that they could make more money off of more easily having it turned into a Broadway show, because that needs that first generic song just to set everything up, and they thought, oh, just make a generic song about ice, and it didn't have anything to do with the rest of the plot or anything, and you could start the movie after that point and it would still work. I really like the intro music, the ethereal choir music that you first hear when the Frozen title comes up. I really like that, and I felt that music and the music in the first song was more the style that they should have gone with throughout all of the rest of the movie and the songs that they sing. Much like in The Lion King, there was a very African feel to most of the songs. Obviously, Circle of Life had an African feel to it. I Just Can't Wait to Be King had that droning African choir underneath it, and you always heard some type of African drumming during Be Prepared. You heard an African drumming underneath it. Most of it kept that African culture, and I think that during this movie, all the songs went into this weird pop sound just to get people to like it more, and I didn't, and I thought that it should have kept more true to the culture of the first two songs, even though the first song has nothing to do with the rest of the movie and is really random. I just thought that the rest of them were a little out of place and poppy.
I was going about the first song. I think it sets the mood, though. Like, I think it does
Right.
a lot. I think it does a lot. No, it doesn't specifically say, here's a character, this is who they are, this is what... I mean, it sets a mood, it foreshadows. I think it's a very nice... I think it's perfect. I would miss it if it wasn't there.
I agree, and it's needed almost, because, like, think about a movie like Bambi. Like, you look at all these Disney movies that are very plot driven, which is necessary, obviously, but then you look at a movie like Bambi, so many scenes in that movie, you could totally say that was not necessary, but it makes Bambi what it is. It's very character driven, and I think this song is necessary to the film.
And it's like
for the
it's
plot.
like Olaf again. It's like that Duke guy. It's something you need. It's not right in your face, plot driven, right to the point, but it's a background layer that you need. It builds something in the back of your mind, like an emotion or some kind of layer that is there, but it's not right in your face. But you need it, but you don't know that you need it, kind of thing. It adds to your experience without you really knowing, I think.
But see, I think that, and this is another overlay, and I hadn't said this, and this is really important to what I feel about the movie. Another overlying problem with this movie is the act of saying things instead of showing it. I feel that scene, you're right, they did show ice, but they said ice, ice, oh, we're cutting ice, ice, ice. It's just, I felt that if you're saying it sets up everything, it sets up the whole ice topic for the whole theme of the movie. A better way of doing that would have just been, instead of just blandly showing Frozen, would have been some great sweeping shot over, like, the ice-ridden, snowy mountain and showing shots of ice with the titles going up with that choir music playing. That would have been showing the ice and setting it up that way, rather than having this song with these guys that you never see again and really did no connection. And the first time I watched it, I thought that they were at some point going to come back, and they didn't, and that was just my initial reaction was, wow, this really doesn't, why did they just show that? I think that instead of saying all these things about ice, they could have showed it and had that music playing and just showed shots of snow and ice and scenery that way.
But they did explain Kristoff that way too, so it was kind of like a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and also, I would say, I would completely disagree with that. I think the song is completely necessary. I'd be very sad if they got rid of it and had only a sweeping shot with the introduction song. Yeah. I like that it's a Les Mis ripoff. Hell, let them. Les Mis is incredible.
It's successful for a reason, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think, and you're right. You're saying they wanted to set it for a musical. Well, yeah, they did, because they want to make money. I mean, obviously, when you're an artist, yes, you want to make a quality product, but you also want to make money from it as well. You want to make a living, and they're like, we could do a lot with this.
Personally, I would have thought that it would have been better to tell the story if you wanted to set it up for the iceness of it, to do it the way I said, rather than have that song. Even though I like that song on its own, and like I said, for the culture that song depicts, if it had more of a connection to the story, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's just that it's so out of place, and that it shows ice, and all of a sudden it's all water. Wait a minute, I thought things were frozen and it was ice. Why is everything water now?
Well, I do agree with you, though. Like, I liked the music in the film, but I did find it a little strange that they had such kind of epic music to begin with, and then it did sort of get poppy. But I can tell you honestly, I do like the music in this film, but it did seem kind of strange that they didn't continue with the same style.
Going with the Wicked theme, it is very Wicked themed, because you have No One Wants the Wicked, which is like the ice song. It's very much like that. It sets up everything, and then you have do you want to do a snowman? First Time in Forever, very popular-y, very One Short Day. I heard One Short Day a lot in the first time.
Right.
For the First Time in Forever, I that reminded me of, like, I was at work when I was watching this yesterday, and I was humming the song, and then it turned into One Short Day in my head, and I'm like, oh
awesome.
Wow, what does that remind me of? And then I just started singing Wicked after that, so it really transitioned back and forth to me.
See, I've never seen Wicked, so I can't comment on that.
Wicked, it's kind of weird how much similarities there are between this and Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
quite a few.
The two women female characters. One is really pepped up, and the other is very serious and misunderstood, who was the villain in their original story. You have Adele Dazeem or whatever.
Oh my god.
See what she did there.
And then you have, what's the other one? There was another similarity, but I forget.
Mean, you could really relate each one of these, because Let It Go is Defying Gravity. The In Summer could be Dancing Through Life. Fixer Upper, what could that be? Does Fierro have any, like, what is the second character? Oh, does her sister Nessa, does she have any songs? Or Bach.
She does.
What's his song? Does he have a song?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
he just has a little part in Dancing Through Life. Those two can be
Yeah.
meshed together with Dancing Through Life. But I mean, it's very. You can put each song with a Wicked song, I think.
The Ice song, I talked about what I thought about that song. The next song in the movie would have been Do You Want to Build a Snowman, which I thought, once again, show these things, don't say them. She's saying, we used to be best buddies and now we're not. It would have been more emotional if you didn't say that and you just showed them not being together and showed them being sad because they couldn't be together. It would have been better if you did that. And it gets a little lonely, all these empty... And I know that they show that as she's saying it, but if you just showed her being lonely and didn't say anything and showed her, like, crying, being by herself, that would have had a lot more of an emotional impact than just simply saying, oh, I'm so lonely. I personally think that. And I think that just... They could have done a better job at showing the passage of time and showing that disconnect between them than that song. Even though it's really catchy, but
I
that's besides
felt
the
it.
point.
I cried during this song in the theater. I did.
Yeah, I felt that.
I cried.
I actually cried
Yes.
as well second time.
I cried.
What a bunch of babies.
I
No.
cried during everything. I do.
I think this... Have you guys ever seen The Swan Princess?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Long time
this...
ago.
When I was... Yeah, well, the thing is, I loved that movie as a kid. Now as an adult, I'm like, it's okay. But there's a song in there called This Is My Idea, and it's very much like Do You Want to Build a Snowman, where he shows the main characters as they grow up in segments of their life.
Yeah, you're right. Is that where she's like she keeps beating the boy at everything and like they're playing cards. They're playing cards and then they're like riding their bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and the thing is, as a kid, I loved that song. And so, honestly, Do You Want to Build a Snowman to me? I can just imagine loving this as a kid. So, in terms of Disney movies, I wouldn't justify them being made for kids, but kids watch them and they would love this.
But see, that song I thought is what it should have been. That actually showed them having their conflict. This didn't. It was Anna on the one side just saying, oh, I'm so lonely, oh man, I'm so lonely by myself. And then Elsa was shown, like, once in a while inside, like, some reason, the snow. And it wasn't, if they should have been showed trying to interact with each other.
Well, I think they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Through
didn't
the
get
door
that.
And
Just told her to go
But
away.
Elsa didn't try to talk back. Yeah, but that's
Get
the
out of my
thing.
face.
interaction.
Go away. Jeez.
I just didn't feel it as much as I probably should have. Okay. Is that okay? Does anybody have anything else they want to say?
That's good.
I think
It's
I'm good.
No.
I liked it.
Next song, for the first time in forever. Once again, I thought it was pointless. She was describing, like, saying how she felt when they could have showed that she felt a certain way. And what I really didn't understand is, like we talked, when she first walks out of the castle, she's like, oh my god, I haven't been let out of here in like 15 years or however long it is. And she just like leisurely walks out. Are you serious? I would have been like touching the walls, like, oh my god, look at I would have like going nuts when if you haven't been outside, you have no idea what's out there for over 10 years. That I just didn't like the song. I thought that, not they didn't like it, but
She was gassy.
I thought that
It's fine. She couldn't walk her. Yeah. She was
It's
gassy.
it's so funny that was it JD who brought up Jennifer Lawrence?
Yes, that was
yes.
I thought of that too when I saw the movie. Like when I first heard that lyric, I was like, "Oh, really, Disney?" And then I got home and I was like, "Jennifer Lawrence,
Yep.
I love her."
That was some Hunger Games stuff
This
right
is
there.
actually the song that was in my head when I left the theater.
Really?
This song stuck in my head the whole way, and when I was leaving, this is the song that was in my head. So I love this song. I thought it was catchy, and I like that it showed the naive, innocent side.
It's
Okay.
honestly the most Disney song for me personally. Like when I hear
Exactly.
it, I'm like, yeah, that's a
Mhm.
Disney song.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
Very musically. It could be in
Yeah.
any theater production. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
The violins and the horns and
Love
stuff.
Yeah, it's
that.
like this
Or
is
trumpets,
the most
yeah.
Disney. You could put that in any Disney princess movie, and it would have worked.
I think that this song of any shows the whole trying to emotionally attach it to females rather than trying to make a good movie, because they're saying all of these lyrics that make no sense. The whole thing, I want to stuff some chocolate in my face, and it just, none of it makes sense, and they're just throwing a bunch of just like, okay, what are a bunch of things that girls think of, and then we're gonna have this girl say it just so that they can feel like, oh my god, I totally feel the same way, I love this movie, regardless of how well the movie's actually made or not. And I thought that it was just Well, it's and I'll agree that most of these songs are all very catchy, but I don't know how much that works with how well it works within the movie.
That part, I mean, that's them appealing to a certain age group at that moment. But throughout the entire movie, it appeals to different age groups, like all Disney movies do. All Disney movies have those little moments like that, those little stupid moments, like, oh, that was teen, that was little kid, that's a stupid joke. Like, they appeal all over the place.
I guess I disagree with that. I thought that the whole movie was appealed towards females between the ages of 12 and 30.
Well, see, speaking as a female between the age of 12 and 30...
Oh, thank you.
Right in it.
They got you.
Well, I would say that, like, for me, like, watching this movie, like, I don't think it was made to appeal to somebody like me. Like, I don't know, it just seemed like a Disney movie to me.
No, but see, Danielle, and this is no offense to you, you know you're one of my good friends, but you're not and you'll probably agree with this, you're not the typical girl that they would be trying to appeal to. They're trying to appeal to your Starbucks drinking, Ugg boots, iPhone carrying, Twitter, oh my god, I want a boyfriend girl. That's who they want. That's who they're like, because that's the majority of the population in the country these days. That's who they're trying to, as I call it, yeah, that's what they're trying to appeal to. And rather than trying to make a good movie, they're just trying to emotionally attach it to that group. My opinion, that's what I saw, and that's what I got out of that song. Just picture me as maybe I'll meet the one, and I know that's supposed to show like her want of that, but like that's what every girl thinks when they're going to something like this. Oh, standing against the wall, a picture of sophistication. Like that's what every girl thinks, and that they're just trying to attach themselves to it.
I didn't feel like that was a smart move to make then, because if that's what every girl thinks, then they hit it on
You're
the
right. You're right,
and
they
also
did, because look how
every girl
popular it
thinks,
is.
Again, like, this movie seems to have been made to Disney responding to the critics of what they say about their films, that they want to portray Anna as this ditzy girl that girls can relate to, but then by the end we're seeing, well, she's more than that.
Well, I don't really agree with that, but...
I think the general girl population, Disney, anyone who's even talking about anything, is kind of being stereotyped. I don't know any girls who own Ugg boots. I don't even really know what Ugg boots are.
Wow, really? Wait, Jen, are you serious right now?
No, you have Uggs.
I don't even
I
know
have Uggs.
No, I don't. Are those ugly boot things that people wear?
No, they're those brown
They're actually
boots.
amazing boots that are very warm.
Oh, I don't know. See, I don't know, but I just feel like Disney is not giving the girl population enough credit. Like, if that's what they think that most of us are, I don't know if I agree.
Which is what I mean. That's why I don't think that's... I think, like, okay, so Eric... Well, first, you should know that Eric, like, aren't you substituting in a middle school right now?
I did for 2 months.
Yeah, so he's surrounded by this all the time. I'd say you would catch that more than us, but I don't think... For people who aren't surrounded by that, I don't think they would get that.
Yeah.
The middle school... If you watch shows like on Disney Channel nowadays or on Nickelodeon nowadays, it's to that girl. I can tell you when I was subbing, and I had like a bunch of, these weren't like band kids, they were just like any kid had to take music, a general music class, and I would have about 15 kids, and I had about 3 or 4 different classes. All of the girls in them were these girls that were like they would all have like their iPhones the whole time and be the whole like, oh my god, I'm totally like they would be that girl, and that's who they were trying to appeal to. What we used to call when I was in college at JMU, and this isn't a term from up here, but we used to call a biddy, Biddy. That's what we called them, a biddy. They're the girls that wear the leggings with the Ugg boots and the North Faces and their Starbucks, and oh my god, could you not? And they have their iPhones, and they're always on like Twitter, and that's a biddy. Like, oh my god, that girl's such a biddy. That's who I'm saying they're trying to appeal this movie to, because if you get that demographic to like something, you'll make more money than if you just try to make a good product, as shown in examples of Twilight or Justin Bieber or One Direction or any show that's on the Disney Channel right now or any show that's on Nickelodeon right now.
I'd say, though, Frozen is a bit higher quality than what Disney Channel has been dishing out.
Yeah, I'd say that, because they don't really have to, because you grew up with Disney, you're immersed in it, they don't have to do that. They're like, hey, here's a new Disney movie, you're gonna see it, go, get your ticket and come see us. We owned your childhood. Get in this theater.
I wasn't going, like, I never saw it in theaters, is the thing. So we were talking about the music, so that was for the first time in forever.
Love is an open door.
Love is an open door. I just thought it was kind of, it was catchy. I thought it was kind of hokey, but it's
Can
kind
I
of
just
blah.
say real quick, Love is an Open Door, I like the song, but I wonder, like, it kind of is misleading to me because when you listen back to it after watching the movie, Hans is bad, and it just, I don't know, it just kind of bothers me listening to it after he's bad.
It's supposed to mislead you. It's another misleading plot device, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess it's not a fault in the movie, it's just something I noticed. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it just kind of... I just thought... I know that the main problem I had with the music and the songs was that they had terrible transitions into them and out of them. Like I said, the Ice song, Snowman, it just kind of starts and then stops. Like there was no... And then this song was one of the most seamless ones, I guess. It was
my favorite when I saw it.
It was one of the most seamless ones. Let It Go was one of the most... I like the song by itself, as everybody is. I actually like that song by itself. But if you look at it in the context of the movie, it was extremely out of place. It just cuts from the scene before it and shows the mountain, and then the piano starts. And then all of Let It Go happens, and then she slams the door, and then it goes right back to Anna. Like, that was supposed to exist on its own as a song, rather than showing her going up the mountain and saying some dialogue, like talking to herself, and then starting the song, and then, like, there wasn't a good transition between it going into it and out of it.
It was the Defying Gravity, exactly the same. In Wicked, same thing.
Just there because they realized that, like, I could write a song like that in, like, 20 minutes. They just realized that Defying Gravity was really popular, and, like, oh, who sings Defying Gravity? It's Idina Menzel. Yeah, let's get her to sing it, and then we'll get it really popular.
The thing is, though, Let It Go, to me, I like it, but as Eric just said, anybody could have written that song. It's a generic song, and I like it, but I personally think it's extremely overrated.
Oh, I can't get that.
I get why. I get why people. Yeah, I get why people like it, but it's just that people have to understand that it's a very generic song.
Yeah,
even though it's very catchy, and I actually like the song. It's very generic, and they wanted it to be they wrote that song to get stuck in your head so that 1 million people would do covers of it on YouTube, and it would become, they used social media for that purpose. They tried to use the internet, and this song, write this song that a lot of people can cover, and then they can get it really popular, and we'll make so much money from it that way. That's what they wrote it for.
What they did was, they had a moment in the movie that they're like, okay, let's write a song that's marketable, and then make it amazing, and then put it here, scene beginning, scene end, that's it. It doesn't have to connect anywhere else. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Actually, I think that they, and really in a lot of points, I thought that I literally felt like they were like, okay, you people go work on the songs, we're gonna work and animate the rest of the movie, and then we'll just put it together, because all of the songs are just, they don't seem like they communicated with that people at all. They were just so out of place to the rest of the movie and what was going on, and it had no place within the context of the story. All other movies seem like they wrote the story and then said, okay, this is a moment where we can have a song, this is a moment where we can have a song, let's change these parts into this. I think that they wrote the music. It really felt like they wrote the music first and then just tried to connect and they sort of wrote the music and the story at the same time, and then just tried to, like, really fragmentally connect it all together. Like, and I guess the next song would be Fixer Upper, which would be the last
you missed
song.
One.
The reprise?
You missed a few. Reindeers Are Better Than People is a song.
It is a song.
Oh, I didn't count that. I was talking about musicals.
Stupid song, but...
I actually thought that was one of the funny moments. I thought that was funny. But
yeah, I enjoyed that.
Just trying to...
Actually, I thought that was... I just didn't like it.
Me neither.
I was like, what?
The reindeers are better than people. Come on now.
A reindeer that has nasty eat your carrot. Like, I don't know.
That was not needed.
Stop hating on reindeer. All right.
Sorry. I like Rudolph.
He doesn't count.
Why not?
He's got a red nose.
How dare you?
I'm biased against reindeer with red noses.
Well, then the other thing is, in summer.
Oh, I didn't like that either. Right.
No.
I enjoyed
hated
that. Not gonna lie.
Hum me the melody to that song.
I was just
can't
about
do
to say that.
It's in spoken word. Like, I could hum you the melody to, like, any of the other songs, any other song in any other Disney movie, I could hum you. That song, I can't. I don't know what the melody is. I can't tell you what that song is. I thought that was a really, like, I just don't understand why that was there. That was more time that they could have been using to actually show some type of character development, some relationship building between Anna and Kristoff, some type of adventure that they were going on, and instead they have that. Which I like the guy who's, once again, it's nothing against the guy who sang it. I actually really like him and his performance with it. It's just, the song itself was just, I honestly think they wrote the lyrics and they were like, we don't have enough time, let's just sort of speak this. And he's just sort of like, because he speaks half of the song. There's no melody to it.
And if he's a character that just has the point of being the emotional attachment between the two and old to young kind of thing, he doesn't need his own song.
I agree with that. I agree. Unless the song was about that.
Yeah,
right.
Now
like,
that I
called,
could
like,
done with, yeah.
Exactly, because you think of, like, Hakuna Matata, like, that was necessary to The Lion King.
Right.
This was not.
Yeah, that was a really good... Hakuna Matata was a really good character development between Simba when he's younger and he's scared, and then when he's older, and how he... And that was actually, I really liked the Hakuna Matata. That means if you show... I guess in Aladdin it would be, you've never had a friend in me. That was showing what the genie could do. That was because you didn't want to just, like, have him introduce the genie and then just be like, oh, I'm a genie, I can grant you any wishes. That really sort of showed his character and showed what it is that he could do.
You know what I really would have liked, actually? If they would have had Olaf's point of view of them growing up. Like, if they would have had him every year throughout their life, if she would have made him throughout their life, and he kind of was a part from when they were little and then older, and if he could have seen what was happening through his eyes, if we would have seen what was happening through his eyes of what he was seeing between the two, that would have filled in a lot of gaps of you didn't see the connection.
I agree.
And stuff. We could have saw
I
it
agree
there.
with that. You're
work.
right. I agree with that, and that would have made it more of an emotional connection of seeing them together. I would have agreed with that, and I would have liked Olaf being used for that purpose.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That would have been good.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally still enjoyed the song, just for the one part where he's like, I'll be a happy snowman. That part just gets me.
Danielle, I know you had a lot.
But everything
about
else
that,
was just kind of there. But that part was funny. And so, but I feel your point.
Oh, now I really want that scene, that song of him, from his perspective.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same with what JD was saying last episode with Hans having a villain song. I would have loved to see that as well.
That would have been so awesome.
It would have. Oh, man, I would have.
Or they could have just kept it as the
Like,
Snow
God,
Queens.
had a good villain song.
It would have been like Princess and the Frog with that villain singing his menacing song.
Oh yeah, Friends on the Other
I
Side.
like that.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
It would have been like that.
That's a good song.
See, here's the or they could have just kept the Snow Queen and had the Snow Queen sing, like,
You're not
rap,
letting
like,
that go.
Let it go.
Let
yeah,
it go.
the Snow Queen could have, like, rapped Ice Ice Baby. That would have been really funny.
That also would have been good.
Oh,
I would have lost
God.
it. I would have just been like, yo, this is the best.
I think I would have cried.
Tears of joy, right?
Okay, moving on.
In summer, and then the final song.
For the first time in Forever reprise, we already kind of talked about
Yeah,
this.
we already kind of talked about that.
Wow.
I love it too.
That was one of the ones that I actually liked. Except for the fact,
Yeah.
except for when Elsa says, "Oh, there's so much fear." Once again, don't tell me you feel that way. Show that you feel that way.
Oh no, I loved that line.
I didn't like that.
What I loved about that song, though, is when she says, I think it's when she says there's so much fear, she looks into the ice and she sees herself, and it kind of reflects back to the original story because she sees herself distorted in the ice, which I just loved. Ugh, so good.
And then moving on to the last song, Fixer Upper, which the song itself, I didn't have much of a problem. I liked the song itself. I didn't like that. What I found, this is probably the worst transition between any of the songs, and they're all not very good, but this one in particular really bothered me, because what happens is he brings her to the trolls, and Kristoff says, wait, okay, I have a problem here. Here's this girl, and they're like, "Oh, look at you," and they think that like he brought her to like have them meet her, like they're together, and she's like, "Oh, we're not together," and then the one troll's like, "Oh, well, what's the issue?" And then they just start the song, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, she never said that there was an issue. I thought that there was going to be some big argument between them, showing that she had such an issue with Kristoff that she didn't like him and couldn't stand him, and that they were going to try to, like, the song was them trying to convince her, like, oh, love him anyway despite all of his flaws. But they just start singing it, and then I felt like, if I were her, I would have been like, whoa, stop the music. I never said I had an issue with him. Like, I don't know why you guys are singing this. I never said I had a problem with him. And it just seemed so, like, they all of a sudden... And then as soon as it's over, they describe her actual problem, and they're all like, oh my god, like, we just spent all this time singing when you have an actual problem here. And they, like, completely forget about it. But the song itself, I liked.
I don't like that it focused on them together as a couple when that really wasn't the focus the entire time. And it wasn't meant to be. That was just weird, I thought.
Well, I thought that was just like the troll's perception of like, oh hey, this would be a cool thing, and it was foreshadowing anyway. Yeah.
I don't think it was
no, but they should have been though.
But yeah, I see what you. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of foreshadowing, like, hey, this is gonna be a thing because it's Disney, so pucker up.
But I think it was there even if the song wasn't there.
Yeah.
Once again, like, at the beginning, they're saying how, oh man, look at this girl, she's so perfect. And then the whole song is talking about Kristoff's flaws and how he's this disgusting boy, but you should love him anyway. That's the whole, like, the whole female bias thing I've been talking about this whole time, is the fact that you have an entire song devoted to telling this guy's flaws when he's trying to save her. Yet all you do is smell, oh man, he pees in the woods and he smells bad and he talks really bad and he walks really bad and all this terrible stuff. But you're perfect. You have great teeth and you're perfect in every way. And even though you've been journeying on a mountain this whole time, your hair is still perfect and you look like this pretty girl. And it's just, oh!
Well, they tell her, like, at one point that she is a fixer-upper.
Yeah, they switch it around.
Well, because she's engaged.
I think that it was progressing fine. It didn't need this whole point in your face. Like, it's either super subtle, apparently, or super in your face, this movie. I guess that's what we're deciding.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
That's what it looks like.
What about the score in general, the background music?
I like it.
Because I gotta say, I really like it.
It's good, but it's just kind of there. It just kind of blends in. Not that that's bad, like sometimes that's good, but it's not something I would sit down and like listen to. Like maybe as an example, like even though the movies aren't great, the Transformers movies have like this great boom big score that I would just listen to all the time. And for this one, it's just kind of like, it just kind of blends in, which isn't bad. That's good because it blends into the world and the characters.
And you don't really notice
it's not something I'd listen to on my own. You know what I mean? One thing
I wanted more of was, like I said earlier, with that ethereal choir at the beginning. I wanted more of that sound throughout the whole movie. If you were going back to The Lion King, they used that African sound, even in not in the actual songs. They used that through the whole part where Simba's running back.
Yeah.
Always that sound throughout the whole movie. All of the background music was all bump 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 bump. It was just always. It was just always that sound throughout the movie, and I wish they would have used that to really paint that culture more and paint that picture more.
Yeah, even in all their culture-focused movies, like...
Aladdin.
Aladdin.
Pocahontas.
All of them, they all had that background. But yeah, this one didn't. I agree, I missed that.
Well, I think toward the end it got worse, but in the first beginning songs, I didn't notice when I first saw the movie, but actually for this discussion I sat down, I listened to every single track of the score, just like sitting there, and I found it very kind of magical. I don't know, I really liked it, and until the end. The ending, like the action, all the action score was terrible, I thought.
Right.
But like when Anna and Elsa are playing with the snow and their kids... I think that's really beautiful, but it's forgettable. Though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just feels a little too Hollywoody, and not
right.
like, it's just big and grand and it's epic, but that's a dime a dozen.
Okay, I think, does that conclude our discussion?
Yes.
I guess so, yeah. Anything else we'll just write in the corners.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of those, because I know I am.
Yeah, there's a few.
Okay, so now it's time for our zippity doo-dah moment. So we're going to go around, and I'm going to come to Jen first.
Mine is quite obvious. It's the building of Elsa's castle when she's rising it from the snow, and the chandelier, and Let It Go when she puts her foot down and the snowflakes go over, and just the whole castle building and song dramatics.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
My
yeah.
choice.
So Let It Go, essentially.
Yes, that whole
yeah,
little
yeah,
passage
right, yeah, exactly.
from the climbing the mountain to the slamming of the door. My moment.
Yep.
Like when she's going up the stairs.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
'Cause-
right. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
All
I
of
love
it.
the stairs.
Yeah.
It's the
Just
whole
let
thing's
it go.
beautiful. The whole thing's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't pick one thing. It's all beautiful, and the song's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's just two beautiful things.
It's true.
Yeah. Very nice. What about you, Eric?
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about Let It Go, and Danielle and I had talked about this. This will be super, super fast. I didn't like how, as a part of it, they had to have her like flip her hair out and then transform her dress into this really long. Like, I didn't get that. And then as she's walking towards, like, I guess where the proverbial camera would be, she has to like sexually move her hips back and forth, and I just thought that all of that was really, like, I didn't get the point of that. I thought that it was really unnecessary. Why did they have that done?
She
I
was
didn't get
letting
it.
go.
Yeah.
But she was
I mean, that was
making
her. She
something.
was going to her personality, or who she wants to be, and who she is, and she wasn't kept inside. She wasn't kept in her normal clothing. Like, she was able to do what she wanted and be who she wanted. And that's who she wanted to be.
She went all Shakira.
I
Yeah,
thought her
there
normal
you go.
clothing was fine.
But I actually do kind of agree with you there, Eric, because I liked everything else, like her flipping her hair and the dress, but
I didn't like
the
that.
hips, I hated the hips thing. That actually genuinely.
I don't know if
bothered
anybody
me.
even else
I mean,
noticed that.
oh,
I
it
noticed that the
Depends,
first
yeah.
time I
thought
saw
it.
it.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
she was in those clothes. She was in the royal garb the whole time. Maybe her hips
Right.
really do move like that.
She just became a pop star to me then. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
think that was the idea.
Yeah,
Again.
It
she
was.
let it go.
Yeah.
Figuratively.
Which is why I like it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
me
just
too.
playing it up.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
Just why does her letting go have to do with? Okay,
Yeah, just
my zippity doodah moment was, and I honestly think that like throughout this whole discussion, I came across like I hated it. I didn't hate it. It was entertaining. I watched it. I just had a lot of issues with it, and I didn't feel very much at the end of it. And so I was trying to explain why it is I didn't feel very much at the end of it. My favorite moment of the whole film was. Danielle's gonna hate me, but reindeers are better than people.
Yes.
I just thought that was the
Yes.
funniest.
Yes, I hate it.
Yes.
Favorite the best part? What?
Yes.
That was just my favorite part of the
I
whole
don't
movie. I
even
thought
know
that was
anymore.
I'm okay with this.
that was my favorite.
It's like, what is
I
life?
don't
I love it.
know.
That was my favorite part of the whole movie.
You are very entitled to that opinion.
Yeah.
I hate you.
You're,
I don't
What do we
know.
talk about
Out
next
of all
week?
those beautiful. Okay, move on.
JD.
All right, let's see. My moment would probably have to be the one point where Kristoff is walking off with Sven, and they're leaving the Arendelle at the end of the movie, and he's like, "Oh, I can't go back," blah blah. I don't. She's in love with Hans, and then Sven just gives him that look, like that really, brah, like that look just.
Yeah,
killed
that
me.
was pretty
It's just
funny.
like,
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done. This movie is the best.
And how he
But-
makes him talk, like he
Yeah.
talks in his
That was.
voice.
I thought that was actually funny.
Yeah,
I like
or like
it.
when he starts like yapping, and it's like I can't understand you when you talk like that. Like it's just,
It's like you're talking to your animal.
yeah, I was like, man, this is legit. Like people actually talk to their animals like this. So
Mhm.
The thing
I
is
thought
that
was
like
funny.
that's another thing that like all at the end, Kristoff loves Anna when it was never showed throughout the whole movie. They were, and I thought that should have been built more. They should have had more of a growing together throughout the adventure. That they should have been on the longer adventure that they should have been on, rather than just like come back to Arendelle. No, okay, bye. Like they should have actually been on a longer adventure. They should have been growing more. And then the whole point was like, oh, you can't fall in love with someone you just met. Well, just meet Kristoff, and it's like a day or two
No,
more.
I think more
and-
time passed at the end. I think a lot of time
They should have
passed.
showed that. They shouldn't show that though.
I always thought they kind of just like each other. They weren't like in love. That's what I always like. Even though they said love, I was just like, they just kind of like each other a whole lot, and they're just
Yeah,
dating
exactly.
right now. So that
Yeah.
was my thing.
Which was realistic.
And then the last
Yeah.
thing I didn't understand was why did Anna completely freeze when like when she went and jumped in front of Elsa. I didn't get that.
Because her body was
That
freezing.
was the exact
But her-
moment where the ice completely took her over. It just happened to be
Yeah.
a
Just
coincidence.
convenience, plot
Yeah.
convenience. That's
I thought that I didn't understand that. I thought that her heart already was frozen.
It was starting to freeze
freezing.
slowly.
Yeah.
But that's her
Hence
heart,
why
though,
her
not her-
hands were freezing and frozen.
Yeah, but like it's her heart, not her whole body. She specifically froze her heart.
That's what it's saying. Her heart,
Right.
her body, like it's a part of her is her.
And then your
her heart.
extremities freeze first, hence why her hands were freezing first.
But then why is it that didn't happen when she froze her brain? I don't know.
Well, the head is different.
I just-
They have that whole line the trolls say about the head and the heart, how it's different.
Yeah, they explained
And
that.
that's why they erased her memories, because it was her head, not her heart. And they can't get rid of the heart. That's the act of true love.
I just didn't get it. Because her heart, because he says, "Oh, I thought that she froze your heart." Well, she already did freeze her heart, so I don't know what it is that they were like trying to stop from happening. Her heart already was frozen.
Danielle.
Okay, so mine's actually not very exciting, but I was trying to choose one that wasn't very obvious. So I chose the line from my least favorite song, or one of my least favorite songs from the film, Fixer Upper, when the trolls say everyone's a bit of a fixer upper. Because, I don't know, that just rang so true to me, and that it surprised me about the song, because I just came in not liking the song, and I heard it, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually kind of a nice lyric, and yeah, that it was the most surprising to me. That's why that's my zippity doo dah moment. All right, so that ends our discussion for Frozen. Now it got pretty intense, but overall very good discussion.
I'm feeling the heat.
Yeah, there was a lot of heat and tension. What was that noise?
That was me. I was going.
He saw what I did there. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to move on to our question of the week. But first, we're going to go over last week's question, which was from Jen. And she asked, what do you think is the most visually beautiful scene in any Disney animated movie? And let's, I guess, real quick go around and state our favorites. So since Jen came up with it, you can go first.
I was thinking about this on and off, and I couldn't get this one scene out of my mind, so I'm going to pick it. And it's going to be Belle and the Beast dancing in that beautiful ballroom with the lighting and the music. Even though the music's not part of the visual aspect, it's still them dancing in that ballroom, I think, is my pick for the most beautiful visual scene in any Disney film.
That's a really good
Although
choice.
I wanted to pick Frozen because there's so many beautiful things in Frozen, but I can't get my mind out of that ballroom. That is gorgeous. The gold, the pillars, that's just gorgeous. And the ceiling,
sure.
Can't.
I know, it's so beautiful.
Very true.
Very good choice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eric.
I'm gonna have to go with an old favorite, and might have something to do with that from when I was a kid, but whatever. It's the part in The Lion King at the very beginning where it follows the bird and it first goes over the cliff and you get that first shot of the wide open land and all of the animals there. That was just sort of that, and it's the first part of the song where it really opens up, and it's where the first chorus, the circle of, and it really opens up and just shows the whole, everybody there. That's one of my favorites.
That's a good one.
Very nice. Yeah, it was good. All right, JD.
Dude, that's such a hard question. I'm too artsy, so I'm just like, there's too many. But I would say for me, it's in I forget which Fantasia it is, but it's the one. It's like the one where there's like those humpbacks, and they're just like in the sky.
Fantasia 2000. That's
There
the
we go. 2000.
Pines of Rome.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one.
Music is the Pines of Rome, which actually Westchester's Marching Band did as their marching band show this past fall.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Didn't know.
That music.
That's amazing.
And
yeah.
I love that. I just can never. When I saw that, I was just like, whoa! Like that just takes you back. It's just like, wow, that's amazingly. Like I just can't get that out of my head. It's just that whole thing is so good. Yeah. It's the artsy fartsy of me. Sorry.
Artsy
fartsy.
fartsy.
Artsy fartsy.
Wow.
Art that smells really bad.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay. For my answer, mine's Beauty and the Beast as well. I wanted to pick something like really epic, but the one I kept coming back to was the very beginning of Beauty and the Beast, when you're in the forest and you see the kind of the waterfall and the river.
Yeah.
And it's zooming in very slowly to the castle, and that always has been just strikingly beautiful to me.
Yeah.
And so that is mine.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, I love it so much. So good. So yeah, that's our question of the week. If you would like to answer our questions of the week, please do not hesitate to tweet us, to respond on our website, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, let us give you our actual question of the week for Frozen. And it's brought to you by me this week. My question is, how do you think Walt Disney would like computer animation in the new Disney Renaissance? Do you think he would embrace it as the new technology that he so often loved, or would he reject it and stick to his traditional animation? Or would he do both? Send us your answers via our website. You can comment on our question of the week post. You can also tweet at us in 140 characters or less, though you probably want to put a little more thought into your answer, which is completely fine. We love long answers, and we also love when you respond
and
to us.
we love warm hugs. Sorry.
I do love a good warm hug.
I had.
What a great reference.
Yeah. There was my... Yeah.
Very...
I personally prefer cold hugs.
Oh, okay. Well, those are weird.
Wow.
That's some creepy territory right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Or he just hugs Elsa a lot. I don't know.
That's true. You never know.
I wonder if she's cold.
Yeah,
she like her bot like. Yeah,
the cold never bothered her.
Anyway.
Was her body... Like, if you felt her body, would that be cold?
It's that time of night.
They're running amok.
Yep.
For you listeners, you can download our episodes via iTunes and Podomatic and SoundCloud. We're actually making some changes to SoundCloud. We're only going to be posting our current episode on our SoundCloud account. All our past episodes will be on our YouTube channel. We're going to post them as videos on there just because SoundCloud, quite frankly, have to pay for it, and we don't want to pay for it, so we're going to be posting.
Yeah, good enough reason.
Yeah, I mean, simple as that. And so, yeah, our current episode will be on there. Past ones go to YouTube, which you can get the link to on our website. You can contact us on our website, or you can contact us via Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr. Our website is www.talkmagictome.com. That's the number 2. And there you can find all our social media links and everything. And our Twitter handle is talkmagictome, T-O, not the number 2. And via Twitter you can send us your zippity-doo-dah moment, or you can write on our Facebook wall, or ask us a question on Tumblr and put your zippity-doo-dah moment. And you can also put it on the comments in our episode post on our website. Make sure to rate us on iTunes, as Jen coined last episode. When you wish upon 5 stars, your dreams will come true. So that means rate us 5 stars, please.
If you don't, you'll end up like the evil queen in Snow White, apparently. So
yeah. Remember that. That's a threat that we're sticking with.
You'll have a skeleton guy that works in your basement and drives your boat for you.
Deja vu right now.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so rate us on iTunes and leave us feedback. You know, we wanna hear your thoughts, how we're doing. You know, because obviously we're just beginners at this. Your feedback means a lot to us because you guys are awesome. We really value what you have to say.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that wraps up our Frozen episode of Talk Magic to Me. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. This was fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so from all of us at Talk Magic to Me, I'm Danielle.
I'm Jen.
I'm Prince Eric.
DJ JD. Peace.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Woo!
Bye bye. Someday my prince will come. He had. I think it's a he. Oh gosh. Yeah, I should probably know that before I talk about
Disney history. You're not even researching this Disney history.
Well,
what's happening?
This person has a lot of music appear in Pinocchio. I think all the music in Pinocchio.
Hey.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I just clapped, and I shouldn't have done that. Sorry.
Well, good going.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. Now let's move on to our next segment of the show.
Whoa.
What's that noise?
What was that?
Okay.
What is that?
Well, what just happened?
What's that noise?
What is
Yeah.
that?
Ghost noise.
Did a garbage truck just go through
Yeah,
somebody's
what?
roof?
Wait,
what?
I don't
Not
know
here.
what just
Wait.
happened.
Who didn't hear that noise?
Me, I didn't.
Okay, that
Yeah.
must
It
have
was you.
Did a garage, I keep trying to say, a garbage truck drive by or something?
No.
What happened? Where are you?
I don't know.
The heck was
I'm
that?
in the basement right now, so I don't know what happened.
This
Alright.
is the worst ever, Dave.
Someone
for a
hijacked our
podcast.
Skype call, apparently.
Guys.
That was weird.
I
What did
know
it
this
sound
could-
like? Wait, what did it sound like?
All of a
Like
sudden,
a
garbage
garbage
truck.
truck.
all of a sudden too,
Yeah, that's weird.
I couldn't hear myself think.
Nope. I was like, okay.
Oh wow.
I can't.
Alright.
This is gonna be a great blooper.
This is a
not...
curse. Curse of the Frozen podcast.
Yeah, right.
No.
We're gonna be frozen in time for a while.
Yeah?
Oh my god, I made a pun.
Ugh.
Yay. Okay.
No.
Let
The
me start.
bloopers
Bad.
are going to be longer than the episode.
Right, at this point,
Oh my god.
we're
Okay.
going nuts.
I'm so tired. It's like, oh
So
god.
am I. Long
Okay.
day.
Yes, let's calm ourselves. Okay. Let me start that over. Okay. Twiddle. And, as Jen coined last week, you can rate us on iTunes, because when you wish a 5... oh god, I even said it
Oh,
wrong.
man.
When... I was doing so well.
Nope.
No, actually I wasn't.
Ruined it.
When you... Yeah, I know. When you wish a 5 pon... Oh my god.
Forever.
Man.
That's up there
I
with
can't
my
even figure
phone.
out what you're.
Oh my god, yeah, I know. Oh god, okay.
You are failing.
I know. Okay. When you wish... Okay, hold on.
Nope, you can't even do it. It's not happening right now. Pack it in.
Okay. You can...
Oh.
Let me just calm down. I'm really tired.
Blooper
Oh my God,
section.
Okay.
I'm cracking up right now.
This is the part of the episode where we just break down.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. So send us those thoughts. Send us your feedback, please.
Jeez.
Oh no.
She's broken.
And she's off.
Yep, we broke her. She's broke. Pack
There,
it
there
in.
she goes, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it. We're done. Pack it up. She's broken.
We love to hear from you guys.
Apparently, we would. Apparently, because she's cracking up. She thinks this is hilarious.
Yeah, that.